On today's episode of Let's Talk FGO, we're going to talk to you about Christmas in October. Has Halloween finally lost? Well, we'll talk about that next year. Also, big Road to 7 stuff coming. A new story event will require Olympus? Question mark? You can't see me, but I'm touching my chin? Hello, I am one of your hosts. I am the chin toucher extraordinaire, Omega. With me, as always, our best post-apocalyptic interior decorator, Lucky.
Oh my god.
I know what you've been doing all week.
Everyone, I hope you're
in the bunker. Sorry to cut you off, but just thought of a thing to bring up since people may care. I've been sitting in the bunker waiting for the shoe to drop on the hurricane, and it never came. So I've had a lot of fiddling around time this week, and I see Lucky and Loth playing Project Zomboid in the background.
It's true. We'll talk about that later. But I hope everyone's enjoying Fate Grand Order, aka 'Tis the Season. Wait a minute.
Hold
no,
on.
It's not. And while we here at Studio Mega like to bring you the latest in FGO-related news and memes, we will be talking about current and future events for both the JP and EM version of the game, so anyone will not want the spoilers should make sure to enjoy the refreshing fall flavors.
Yes, because it's fall. It is not winter, no matter what people may try to tell you. Though, funnily enough, speaking of the hurricane, I do think Ian has technically actually made it fall here. It swept through and sucked up all the moisture, so now it is cool and dry, actually. It's 68 degrees outside at 8:30 tonight. So, we're going places. Cool, we're finally here. Just needed 18 feet of storm surge to do that. Anyway, yes, we'll be talking about some more of that stuff probably on What's Up. Be sure to check that out. But for now, we're here to talk about Fate Grand Order, because, man, do we actually have some stuff to talk about? Some interesting things are happening besides our jokes about Christmas in October. Like, the fact that that's happening at all right now is kind of interesting, and I don't think anybody has been predicting that, really.
When Albert said our clear points was going to get shot, he was not kidding.
Yeah, in more ways than one, but we'll elaborate on that one later. Let us continue to roll through our usual stuff. And first of all, let me just say that this episode is brought to you by our patrons like Adam DeHarp, Architect 10, Blanks G, Carlos Dragon, Ferris, Jeremy Vasquez, Justin LaFay, John Sandoval, Legendary Boss Hunter, Regent Raptor, Rise of Kenji, Robyn, Sharvor, Sean Pyre, some guy named Bob, Siren 23, and Varian the Crow. If you like what we do and want to do more, consider supporting us on Patreon. You can get access to episodes early, lots of other goodies, and it would really help us out. That would be cool if you supported us on Patreon. Smile. I know my internet memes. But with that out of the way, I don't think we have any other real pre-show rigmarole business that we need to talk about besides the stuff we already mentioned. So we can move on to our first segment. This is 90% of my comedy. I just say words in a funny way. Let me see. Where's my button?
Senpai! Senpai! 起きてください.
Because now that we're 3 minutes in and YouTube doesn't care as much, it's time for Weekly Look Up Senpai Race Over Pro Tips. Simple one this week, but we have been pre-informed of October's items because it will be October very soon. Your login exchange items for October will be stand arrows, chains, and magatamas.
Nice, and nice.
Yeah, I'm sure many people appreciate that. No future Lost Belt mats for people working on their append skills and 120 leveling and stuff. But still, arrows, chains, and magatamas are really good. Arrows are only like a year old, and chains and magatama seem like they're in high demand a lot. So that'll be good. I don't really have any other future pro tips. I mean, I probably could slide one in there. I know that people are still having some issues on Android sometimes, but I don't think we've ever actually pinned down what that is. It seems to be a question of, like, software versioning and so on and so forth, so I think you just gotta sit back and report issues to the devs and hope that we get a patch. I do actually believe there was there a JP patch recently that had some issues in some notes? Let me see. Well, they did have a maintenance for version fixes, so, they're sketching things out, fixing things. But yes, we don't really have any Records of the Throne or All the World's Evil because we're on the tail end event with not really a new event yet. So we will move on and check in with Did You Finish Your Master Missions? So, probably, by the way, but if you didn't, they should be pretty easy to handle. So you need to defeat 20, then 40 enemies, not servants or certain bosses, and then defeat 15 each of demonic, male, female, humanoid. You will presumably have done most of this if you were farming Guda Guda up to the end point. And if not, it should be fairly easy to do because, let me see, I'm pretty sure skeletons are demonic, and servants are obviously humanoids. So you can do some Fuyuki farming. I think the main thing is just the female. Let me see if there's an easy one for that. Internet, tell me your secrets. And obviously the getting 20 and 40 enemies is just do anything.
Slap something.
Yeah, do something. I do think, Okeanos Bountiful Sea is the cheapest. That has females and humanoids if you need them. But do it twice will get you 16 of each, so that should clear it. And you might also be able to do Orleans Marseille for a easier clear than just beating Fuyuki Bones, because that'll get you 2 runs of that'll get you 18 males, humanoids, and demonics for only 14 AP. So between that and the 2 Bountiful Sea is 50 AP. So that's, basically the equivalent of a little more than 1 full power Ember farming run, and you can wrap up most of your missions if you've got them left. I think that should be all the enemies too. So there you go, everybody. But alright. Not that much on the front end, but we do actually have some big meaty news to chew into today. So let us join our Skelegrams. Not quite yet in their spookiest form. Though sadly, I do not think we'll be trying to do any spooky scary skeletons this upcoming month, just because we've done that joke way too many times and gotten copyright dinged for it a couple times. The xylophone sounds are in your souls and hearts, everybody. But so, let's begin with JP. Road to 7, Lost Belt number 5, Atlantis campaign. And yes, these are 2 separate campaigns. I know there was some debate back and forth in previous months about if they would count. They're not separated by a month, but they are technically 2 separate campaigns. So, Atlantis is going from the 28th of this month to the 6th of October. And you guys should really know the drill by now. They've been doing this pretty consistently for several months this year. So, they do have 3 leyline stones for a login reward if you log in during this time period. That's pretty good. There are limited missions to do more free quests in Atlantis to get extra stones, teapots, and faux paws. Actually, offering faux paws is a little limited master mission reward. I think it's like 10 of them, so maybe helping that economy a little. Something we have talked about in the past as well.
Mm-hmm.
You can also do the usual thing. You can do interludes for even unsummoned Atlantis-themed servants. That's a pretty broad list, so I'll pull that one up in a second, even though it's not in my notes. And I cannot type it in my notes now. If you hear me wince in pain at any point during this, it's because I've been suddenly overcome with a slightly sore wrist, and I will probably try and do something with my right wrist that I try to do throughout the show, like type or point, make weird wiggly hand gestures. Anyway, in addition to the interludes thing you can do, which is pretty typical, we also have a pretty common run-through of AP-related stuff and other bonuses. Quarter AP main quests through Atlantis. Which, by the way, since Olympus is going to happen like right after this, spoiler on the exact dates, but we'll get into that later, but that's going to go up to Olympus anyway, so don't feel a big concern there. Half AP free quests in Atlantis during this time period. Atlantis servants get half AP on interludes and rank ups. They get double suck chance on leveling up, double FP when used for support, and plus 60% bond in Atlantis free quests. I don't know if that's new or not, because that doesn't sound familiar. Chat can let me know if they've done that method before. But if you are curious what the list of the Atlantis-themed servants who get this bonuses are, it's Jason, Super Orion, Chiron, Paris, Hector, Achilles, Odysseus, Drake, Mandricardo, Bart, Chiome, Charlotte, and Estrella. So we've got a healthy selection to get all these lovely bonuses if you want to work on these. We also have some new interludes. St. Quartz interludes for Super Orion and Odysseus. The Odysseus one was added later. Not sure why they didn't drop that one right away, but they waited a couple of days. I think it just came out in JP as of our time recording. And then we also have some rank ups. So, technically, Jason gets an interlude, not a rank up, but it is an NP interlude, so it also makes him better. So, that's good. It's an NP interlude, so it increases his damage multiplier as usual, and now gives him an effect to give him 20 stars per turn for 3 turns.
Jesus.
Yeah, no. Just straight up. 20 stars per turn, 3 turns on his NP. So that's pretty baller. That's going to really help out some arts crit comps who are probably emerging thanks to Lady Avalon. So that's nice. We have a rank up quest for Achilles NP. This is also pretty good. Considering I'm pretty sure as far as permanent units go, Achilles was considered pretty good in his niche. I know there are some really, really good quick guys, but Achilles is decent. But now he's got the multiplier up, which again, he has a quick NP, so that's really big. It now increases his critical damage for 3 turns based on overcharge. This is 50 to 100%, by the way, so that's pretty good even without OC. But with all the free extra stacks, that's pretty crazy. Now also hits all enemies with confusion for 3 turns. That is the chance to skill seal at the end of the turn, 30%. So, yeah, that's a pretty decent upgrade. more damage, more crits in the future, which is obviously pretty good on a quick NP because you will get stars. Hell, if you do an NP chain starting with his NP and enemies live, you might get free crits anyway because of how they change things. And the confusion is probably funny more than anything, but, still useful. We also have a buff to Chiome. Her first skill, which was just her targetable NP seal, is now upgraded. It now gives her a 20 to 30% damage bonus versus demonic enemies, and a 10 to 20% damage versus cursed enemies for 3 turns. Considering Chiome fits well into curse beam strats, these damages will probably not go remiss. And that's not to say, especially considering she was in arts units before, like, the fact that she just had a targetable NP seal was not already good.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously for stall comps, now that we're just like, yeah, and 3 turns extra damage. 30% versus demonic, 20% if you've got enemies cursed. Pretty good. We've also got Rare Prism Shop updates. You can now get Odysseus' helmet costumes in the Da Vinci Shop, and they are free if you cleared Atlantis.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so pick up them helmets. They also brought back a command code. It's the Hippos Troya one. It's in there for 2. It's not free, but yeah, they've got extra command codes in there. So somebody looked this up. So apparently the bond increase is scaling. That's why I'm like, 60%, that sounds like a lot. It's because it wasn't 60% before. Okay, interesting. All right, good to know. Well, it's her NP seal skill, so it doesn't have a cooldown of 3 turns, but yes, you can easily set up her damage stats. We do have our recollection quests for Atlantis. It's probably what you would expect. It's Canis, Charlotte, and Kerberos. Because obviously you can't, Odysseus you didn't actually fight in the Lost Belt, so they can't actually make him the recollection. But yeah, it's Canis versus Super Orion, the big one, Charlotte boss fight, and then Cerberus at the end. We've also got some summon banners. All 3 summon banners have Mandricardo and Hector up at all times, along with the LB 5.1 CE if you need to get those extra copies, if you're hunting for them. But the first banner is Super Orion and Astrea on raid up. Second banner is Odysseus and Chiron on raid up, and third banner is Achilles and Chiome on raid up. So, a decent spread there. You do have a couple of permanents in there, but, at the very least, it's decent to get other chances to get them. And, of course, Super Orion coming back. He's still very popular because of his chunkiness. Now, here's another weird one. With this update, LB6's access requirements have permanently changed. So, you can now access Lost Belt 6 when you clear Olympus. 5.5 is now technically completely optional. So, for comparison, in NA, when Heian-Kyo comes out later this year, if you want to play Lost Belt 6 and it releases, you will have to clear it. But as of now, if you are a future player in JP, and presumably eventually a future player in NA when we get to this update in a couple of years, unless they decide to go crazy and do it this way right away, I kind of don't think they will, but they could. It is nicer to newer players, I guess, because you have a whole one less Lost Belt you have to clear to keep progressing the main story. But yeah, this is an interesting one. Heian-Kyo is now optional, very much like EORs are.
I was about to make that reference. It's
yeah.
been epic of remnant. That didn't flow off the tongue as well as I thought it would. Good job, Lucky.
Gold star. An effort was made.
Yeah!
But yeah, so this is an interesting one. I don't think this has any, longer lasting implications other than somebody just asked if they'll make Traum optional. They might. We don't know for sure because they haven't even announced Lost Belt 7 actually yet, so we don't know what the requirements will be. They might make it so that you have to clear trauma, they might not. They could fix it later. I don't know.
I feel like these 0.5s are more, when you think about it, are more in the realms of, CCC and OQ and stuff. They have story relevance, but they're not, the main story.
Yeah. And, obviously, Heian-Kyo will actually be important to, character sub-threads, because we're finally gonna get that fucking clown. I'm gonna get him. I'm gonna dunk him. I'm gonna slam dunk him into the sun. But that is not technically related to the actual meta plot of clearing the Lost Belts and dealing with the alien god. As we've seen for other stuff. And we'll get more clarity when the event comes out later this year. November, allegedly. So we'll see if they do anything with this one. But yeah, it's an interesting place. And like I said, this does technically make it easier if you are trying to catch up on content in JP with newer players. Yes, Heian-Kyo does go to main interlude after you clear it, but it is when it starts, when it was launched, and when you're doing it the first time, it is located in the main story, and then once you clear it, it goes to main interlude for free quests and stuff. It's very interesting. But yeah, like I said, this technically makes it easier for newer players because they have one less big, huge, chunky story to get through. And there are new players all the time. Our Discord has been blowing up. Apparently, something is going on behind the scenes because some HoloLive VTubers have actually been streaming FGO. And apparently, at the very least, Pekora is hooked, been clearing story. So, that's if people weren't already playing FGO, that's the kind of thing that will cause a small uptick in FGO downloads. So we'll see. It does, make sense to appeal to a newer crowd if you're getting an influx of them, and they might be. I don't know. What's my next move? Yes. Okay. So, the other thing we want to note that was talked about with this campaign is they have pre-announced a event that will require Olympus cleared to participate in the middle of October. So, keep this in mind as you're doing JP. So they have a Lost Belt 5 cleared event. I know some people in our community have also been vibrating over this. They are wondering wondering what this means for, like, story content, servant releases, or possibly just the deep existential terror of boss fights. Because, if they make it require you to clear Olympus, then they could make the fights that hard, right?
Right.
Don't know what that. Yes, it could just be Halloween. It is mid-October, but that would mean a Halloween that has story references or character references to at least as far as Olympus, which is intriguing. Watch it bum us all out. Bum us out in a good way. And just be Hades, who doesn't technically show up in Olympus. He's cool, but he's not already shown. It just adds to the backlog. Anyway, we'll see. If you're curious, they have also pre-announced when the Olympus campaign will be. That will be the 5th of October, so they're just gonna roll right from Atlantis into Olympus, but they will be separate campaigns. And so, let me see what day of the week that is. That is a Wednesday. So by next show, our next recording date, in case you don't know this, we record this on Fridays. You want to listen to it live on a Friday, support us on Patreon, 10 and up level. You get a ping and everything. Our next recording date will be the 7th, so we'll be able to inform you on all the big boy drop. Oh, that would be fucking rad. We bring back the Liz Tower stack, and then we just put Olympus on top of it. The memes. I would also appreciate a soft confirmation that Oniland was built on top of everything. That was just a fandom meme, but I would love for that to be canon, please. Thank you. But yeah, so we've got another version of this campaign, the next set for Atlantis coming out. More banners, more rank ups and strengthens and stuff, and probably some other tidbits, costumes, interludes, etc. Recollection quests. God knows what those are going to be. There's so many to pick from. One of them's got to be Demeter, right?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Like I think
Halloween.
That's the most gut check boss fight to do. Though I'm trying to remember now. Somebody was talking about some of the, because obviously the Olympians do have voice lines because you fight them. Did somebody say that Aphrodite's VA was going to be a guest at the thing? Or was credited? That might just be for the Recollection movie, though, to read voice lines. Context. I'll figure it out later. We've got about a week to wait. It's fine. But yeah, so keep your eye on this space. There is more stuff coming, and that's keyed into a brand new event in October requiring a Lost Belt 5 clear, so we'll see. And now, this one's not as big a news, but it's kind of that big of a news, because we're going to tab over to NA now, and the great bamboozling. I just realized I haven't written down the end date for this. I will not write down the end date in my notes, but I will read it. But coming basically actually out of nowhere, because as far as I could tell, there is no equivalent to this campaign in JP anyway, you've got Revival Christmas 2021 pre-release campaign, starting September the 28th, going until October 11th. And, Christmas in October. Literally. Just straight up. With a unique pre-release campaign. Like I said, I don't think there was equivalent to this in JP. Because the end of the year for JP was actually quite packed. That's where all the stuff actually started happening. So we have a cumulative login bonus for some apples. You can get some silver and gold apples back. We've got half AP, rank ups and interludes, double suck, and double FP for basically every Christmas servant. Hold on, let me grab the list. It's big. I'm glad I didn't type this earlier. But that list is Saber, Stolfo, Caesar, Jason, Orion, Ashwataman, Attila the Santa, Emiya, Nightingale Santa, Robin Hood, Paris, Bradamante, John d'Arc Alter Santa Lily, but you weren't expecting me to say all that. Hosween, Gareth, Santa Alter, regular Astolfo, Boudica, Black Bart, Rhyme, Chen Gong, Hans, Jack, Fuma, Charlotte Corday, regular Nightingale, Kintoki, Vlad 3, Atalanta Alter, Darius Age 3. Had to rack my mind palace for that joke. Salome, Amakusushiro, QUARTZ Samba, Jolter, and Mash. So again, quite an extensive list of everybody who has been in these events up till now. Bringing it back, y'all. And additionally, we've got a straight-up new banner. Rotation of Jolter and Orion with Atalante Alter and Yalter and Robin Hood up at all times, plus some previous Christmas CEs. And yeah, this, like I said, this seems to be entirely unique to NA, probably to let us get over the calendar shock, because, like, damn, straight up, we're doing the Christmas rerun early, and not only we're doing it early, we're doing it like a month earlier than JP did. Because, like, with JP, it started late October and dovetailed into November, technically. We're going to be doing this, like, straight up in October all the way. And that's a little weird. It's a little weird. I mean, if you want me to, like, speculate on why, other than just that this lets them do this pre-release thing they're doing, which gives them opportunity to do some, you know, extra stuff, extra logins to bring people back and make sure they're logging in when what would otherwise be a little bit of a dead time, and, you know, extra banners. Jolter is obviously limited, so, you know, that you know, spices people up sometimes still a big character to bring in, you know. That makes them more focused, but I'm gonna assume that the reason why they're doing this is because the end of the year is a little packed, probably. Like, obviously, you've got a New Year's celebration right away, you've got a new Christmas sometime in the Christmas time, and they've announced that Heian Kill will be late November, intended. I'm gonna guess that now means for sure that Heian Kill is going to be starting after Thanksgiving. So it's gonna technically start in probably the last week in November and then go into December, which is kind of like where it ended up in JP anyway. But I guess this gives them space, you know, to actually do the events in a timely manner. This probably still does mean that Imaginary Scramble is going to be like late October into early November probably, because again, we don't have that much content left in the year new. Barring aside, like, they'll do a Thanksgiving special thing for, like, a week with, you know, probably some tickets and some banners and stuff like that. But yeah, this is really interesting. I could have sworn that they would have probably done this, either push it all the way back to December to actually, like, put it before the new Christmas, because, you know, there's 4.5 weeks, 5 weeks in a month, and most events are only 2 weeks long. So even with a new Christmas, I'm like, I don't know what we're doing all December. I guess there is a pre-release campaign for Heian Kyo as well, but, you know, that's still like that. But yeah, we're going the opposite direction. We're pushing this up. I guess it's because otherwise October really would be so lean. You know, we're straight up inventing filler events in the terms of this, like, pre-release campaign to space out more time. So yeah, it's a little bit of a weird one. Especially because this is a Lotto rerun and we just had a Lotto. Right.
Well, it's only a limited Lotto.
Yeah, it's true. It's limited, but still, like, this is, it's even if it's limited, you'd feel like people are pretty burnt out on Lottos, and we're going up straight up. Yeah, I don't know. I guess maybe they wanted to put more distance between new servant banners, because obviously Imaginary Scramble will launch with a double banner for 2 new servants, while Nemo is permanent. He is going to be new, and then Van Gogh. So doing that, like, right after we had both a, you know, bring back banners of popular servants for, like, some Guda stuff, and a Himiko release banner, and a Saito, you know. I could see them wanting to space that out a little bit more so people don't feel, like, overtaxed. We've talked before about other gacha games having issues where they accelerate the schedule and they just keep the banners coming and people are just, like, burnt out.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is an unusual one. Like I said, I'm not sure I agree with this version of things. Like, I would have assumed there would be much more hype. Jokes about, like, the fact that I feel like, you know, Christmas decorations and shit are pushed earlier every year, you know, to straight up getting into October in some places. Like, obviously, that's a thing in America that you can joke about, but that's still, like, the pre-release is announced in September.
I mean, I was at Costco 2 weeks ago, and they were putting up, they had Christmas trees for sale, and I was all like, really?
Well, please don't tell me they were live, at least.
No, I believe they were fake.
Okay, thank God. that at least is something if you want to get it. Not that, listen, live Christmas trees, done that for many years in my family. It's a pain in the ass. We got an artificial tree a few years back because it's easy to store and bust out. But like, yeah, no, it's, like I said, it does make some kind of sense from that standpoint, right? Like,
Right.
There is no actual Halloween event this year. That won't return until next year for us. So we're in a bit of a weird place. But yeah, it's just, it's weird. I don't feel like anybody in, like, none of the people on Twitter and some other stuff I've heard about were like speculating this would happen, at least this early. Like, we've been mentioning that it technically should be next, but could, be pushed back farther. But it appears...
I think it's interesting. I think it's interesting because technically, like, if they're doing a pre-release campaign, that means they're trying to fill something to fill the gap until they actually release it. So they're probably just like, what do we do?
Yeah.
So this is so I'm assuming there is probably just some weird scheduling thing happening where they're looking at the time and it's all like, we have too much time and not enough stuff.
Yeah, that's, and then what I was going to say was, that's something we have pointed out earlier. I've, been combing over this year. This was the big COVID lockdown year where, like, events got kind of screwy because they had, like, long dovetails and stuff. Like, obviously, in JP this year, they have been handling events differently. That seems to be a deliberate action by the new Lost Single team to do different game direction and, like, minimize reruns, do more summon banners, and focus instead on, like, events giving you more time to complete them over multiple weeks so you don't need to worry as much about it, and then combining that with, like, overlapping special release campaigns to give you little things to do. And what was 2020 in JP and is now 2022 for us, guys, we're almost to the 10th month of 2022, everybody. How time flies. But now that we're in that space, there's a lot of gap weeks and weird time, and there's only so much they can do. Like, I feel almost like they released the Solomon thing on Crunchyroll just so they had an extra thing for us to do, and because it tied into some events that they did have in the backline. Like, they're literally, I think they may be timing the release of certain things to just give them extra shit to do. Because we don't have a lot of extra shit. We have, like, literally 3 new things left this year. Like, I'm pretty sure. I'm not missing anything, right? It's just Imaginary Scramble, Heian-kyo, and New Christmas. Santa Karna. Road to Santa. Like, I'm pretty sure that's it. So, obviously, you probably want to try and do those one a month. So, I'm guessing, like I said, Imaginary Scramble is probably, starts late October. And that will have a pre-release too, I believe, because there'll be some rate-ups on some foreigners and stuff, so keep your eye out for that. Heian-kyo, which will also have a pre-release run-up. That is supposed to be late November. And then, obviously, Christmas is in December, but we don't have any idea where they'll actually put that. I would guess, like I said, Heian-kyo will probably actually be late November, as in actually late November, like probably the last week, and then flow into December, and then we immediately flow into the Road to Santa, because, like, December doesn't have anything else until New Year's, so... Yeah, it's weird, but alright, we'll take them on the chin, and we'll see. Yeah, they've got some million downloads campaigns to possibly fluff in, like, 1 week in there, we'll see what happens. But I think they need some Gap Week stuff. And yes, we will speculate on some other anime news after the mailbag break, because that just seems like that's a good place to put stuff.
Yes.
But yeah, so, rambling about the move up aside and the shock. Well, hey, we got a new summon banner. You're getting extra apples. That's cool. Also, it says, they keep saying total login bonus, so I assume it's cumulative. It's not login streaks. Just log in for a total of 7 days during this time period to get your apples. And I am sure after, obviously, a brand new event like Yamatai Koku and then the previous Lotto, people will not, even if it's only like 2 or 3, people won't be mad about some extra silver and gold apples, But
I've been slowly chewing through mine ever since, like, Lottos and stuff, so I definitely need every little bit I can get.
Yeah. But yes, we'll be sure to throw out more news as that actually comes. There's no, like, obviously this is a pre-release, so there's no hard and fast date on when they actually drop the Christmas rerun. Let me see. It ends the 11th? Yeah, that's in 2 weeks from now, so obviously I think the next one, the Christmas rerun will actually probably start sometime next week. We'll see what happens, but we don't have any prelude there. Another big thing in the news that people are curious about, concerned about, wondering about, is JP has announced that they are modifying purchased sync quartz very slightly. And I do say very slightly. Like, some people seem like to be a little more nitpicky about this. Well, obviously, like, it's in moon runes. Just looking at the chart, there's not as many changes as people think. The quote-unquote big one, it's actually the smallest one, but it does appear that their equivalent of the 99 cents 1 Saint Quartz is going away permanently. Like, they are straight up not letting you buy the 1 Saint Quartz model anymore. That was like 140 yen, I think. But yeah, so they're just doing away with that, I am assuming because nobody bought it and it's not worth the credit card fees to do it. But there are a couple of other packages that are being adjusted slightly. I think what is now the second, what was previously the third tier purchase is getting like an extra 1 paid quartz and like 2 or 3 free quartz rolled in there and like increasing the price very slightly, basically replacing the extra cost of the 99 cent one, the 1 Saint quartz. The next one up from that is just straight up getting increased price in the terms of like 60 yen, which isn't a whole lot, but their higher tier prices do appear to be staying completely the same. Again, assuming I'm reading all this stuff right. So the equivalent of the 80 pack, for instance, is still 10,000 yen. So if you are buying Saint Quartz in bulk, it is probably not a huge deal. This is just, it seems like they're getting some slightly different price curves than some of the lower down stuff. And I do want to remind everybody, by the way, that like, you don't get to use functions like Google Pay and PayPal and shit for free. Like, those guys don't run that business out of the goodness of their own heart. They, credit card companies and other stuff shave a little bit of cash out of you using their service at the other guy's end. So, like, I can totally understand them doing, like, yeah, this, like, equivalent of, $1, 100 yen ass Saint Quartz buy. Nobody buys this, and we are losing a decent chunk of this to payment processors. Let's just not, right?
Right.
Could totally see that. Obviously, this is just for JP. There is no word on any changes to Global's price purchasing. I would not be shocked if at some point we drop our equivalent of the 99 cent one, just because, I mean, it's funny, but do you often buy just a singular paid Saint Quartz,
I've done it on occasion, but usually just because I've been off by one on like a 10 spin or something.
Yeah.
So I can't say that I've, never have I ever, but
yeah. And I've occasionally purchased it for like I said, lucky bag numbers, the lucky bag summons and round numbers. But yeah, like, it's not important. There are other ways to do it. It just makes your cost benefit a little worse. For the most part, if you are a big spender, you will probably still be chowing down on 80 packs.
No.
And again, like I said, the equivalent, the highest tier in Japan, is not changing their price at all. So I would assume that we wouldn't see anything from that on our end. But yeah, there you go. There's the news, the Skelegrams.
Yay! Alright then, with that, let us switch gears. I will take control of the microphone here, and we are going to do this week's Let's Talk FGO Mailbag, the segment where we read what you have to say and comment accordingly. This week we have 13, a good number. I do think that posting it on Wednesday gets the optimal amount of people so far.
No, admittedly, there was a little bit of slight drama about the Wednesday posting, because you told people to remind you and nobody did it, and then they were like, oh, well, shouldn't Lucky have done it? And I think I even said to them, I was like, well, Lucky told you to remind him and nobody reminded him, so. And I'm like, I'm not going to do it, I'm going to make them do it. Somebody did bite the bullet and do it, but there was, I feel like that anticipation may have raised the stock in everybody's mind a little. But we'll see. We've got a few decent of these in the past couple of days, too.
Yeah. So, with that, let us begin. And this first one comes from a master going in for their annual checkup, with both nightingales arguing who gets the honors while Asclepius rolls his eyes. Hi guys, with the news of Strange Fate being adapted and Lost Belt 7 on the horizon, it's a great time to be a Fate fan. My question this week is this: who are you looking forward to seeing animated in Strange Fate? For me, it's a Chaldea. I don't know. Did I actually spell that right?
I don't think they did. It'd be hard to see, wouldn't it? It's Greek. Alcides? Alcides? I'd have to look at it again.
For me, it's that guy. Seeing Herc with a brain and actual dialogue is going to be such a trip, sending you the good vibes. Merry Christmas in October.
Well, spoiler, you're not going to see that guy. At least not in New Year's. I believe the only voice actors and stuff they have announced are for Ayaka, Saber, Lancer, which is Enkidu, and Archer, which is Gil. So I think
we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it later.
We'll dissect that one a little later.
Yes.
But for seeing people animated, I don't know. There's a lot. Strange Fake is well known for its very weird ass concepts.
I am curious to see what they're gonna do about if there is going to be. Well, I'm curious about their Ishtar design. What are they gonna do?
I want to see because there's an alternate Jack the Ripper in Strange Fake.
Yep, that's it.
I don't think we're getting that in the animated special, but I'd love to see it. Also, we get more flat that way.
More flat would be good.
My boy flat. Until then, probably just I do kind of want to see what they do with the saber, because like out of our first blob of characters, he's one of the like newer ones, and he's a male saber. So, wait, does this mean we'll get that guy for New Year's this year?
Maybe
He is a saber.
Maybe
They do like sabers at New Year's.
There has been a pattern. We will see.
That's some long shot ass speculation. We are like 3 months from that shit, so we'll move on.
Hey, listen. You know what happens after you get your anniversary servant? You start speculating your New Year's servant.
True.
And once you've gotten your New Year's servant, that's when you start speculating your anniversary servant. It's very interesting that they're like right in the halves. Like it's just perfectly balanced.
Yeah, I don't think they intended it that way. They probably just thought a summer release would be better, or that's when the product was done. But it does really work out that like FGO has these two core tent poles. Anniversary will be big. New Year's will be big.
Mm-hmm. Again, not because I'm thinking about it, because you always have anniversary summer right there, and then Christmas and New Year's. There's always this big flurry about that. And there's usually at a story event, like usually right before or right after each one, usually. So those are like big event tentpoles. I'm just thinking about it.
Yeah. And presumably we will also similarly be doing that this year, because LB7 should be launching in winter. So it'll be LB7 Christmas New Year's.
Oh, with that though, let us move on. This next one comes from the Tyrant King matching Lucky's burrito with his own quesadilla. Well, you can't match what I don't have, because I still have like 2 weeks to go on my no burrito punishment for spending money on Yamatakoku.
Well, I'm sure FGO. That's FGO. Well, I'm sure Lucky appreciates. I was going to say spending money on FGO, but you want to be more specific than that. I'm sure Lucky appreciates your burrito donations and energy. The YouTube paychecks are not that fast.
But they say, question, hey guys, with Symphonia Gears soundtracks now in the West, with the insert song, which is great since half the series were only released in physical JP Blu-rays, which anime/game OSTs do you wish they released over here in the West? Also, with the fall core here, which anime is your most anticipated? That's it for me. Anyway, sending the good vibes. Wah, 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 wah. Your way in. Hope you have a good evening. P.S. Happy Padoru to all.
Just be warned. If you guys get too much with the Padoru shitposting, I'm not afraid to destroy you. I have rules about dumping images and GIFs, guys.
I'm trying to think. Usually a lot of the game soundtracks... Listen, Spotify is great. I don't know what they're going through to get him, but more and more companies are just throwing all their music up on Spotify. Like, I do not feel bad about spending them like $15 a month to get that premium. I'm just like, give it to me. Hell, I was listening to Bakamitai and Tonight Restart from This Night. From, Yakuza, from the Yakuza series on Spotify. I'm all like, this is a world I live in.
Yeah, honestly, most music streaming services are really good. Like, if you go on YouTube and search for, like, musical artists, they have this thing called topics, and because, hey, guess what? Groups like Sony, etc. are plugged into big music groups, they will just upload them to get them on the service, which presumably helps them for, like, future copyright matching and stuff. Mm-hmm. But if you just want to listen... both either through the YouTube Core app or YouTube Music, if you have that. There's so much shit. Like, there's a Yuki Kajira topic, there's a fucking topic for Samurai, as in the made-up band from Cyberpunk. Though I was
just about to mention, I've been living Never Fade Away off of Spotify. I'm just like, wow.
Yeah, I believe, like, all of the, Night City Radio, like the Cyberpunk soundtrack releases are on Spotify and YouTube Music and stuff as well. Not accounting, obviously, for as well as on YouTube, CDPR and the Cyberpunk official YouTube channel posted a couple as well. But like, there's so much stuff available, so it's pretty rare. It's mostly older stuff. Like I have the Final Fantasy VII remake OST on my machine. I have the digital downloads. That's pretty sick, stuff like that. Most stuff comes out over here.
It's like if we're talking physical stuff, I couldn't tell you because I'm not like entirely sure, and we live in an age of international shipping and whatnot.
Yeah, and it's not like CDs and vinyls are region locked.
So, like, honestly, I can't really think. There's a lot of things that I say I wish to buy. Like, I've been trying to expand my vinyls collection. I'm doing the thing where I put on my flannel shirt, equip my sunglasses, and I go trolling through record stores looking for stuff, but, haven't really been finding much. Like, I did at some point buy the special Square Enix Nier collection that's on vinyl. That's what's usually in my vinyl, my record player right now. But yeah, unfortunately. Speaking for anime, unfortunately, there's a lot this fall. God. Like, we could probably talk about, I'll try and see if I can, remind myself to talk about it on What's Up Tomorrow, but this fall's gonna come out swinging, and a lot of people are excited.
A few interesting things. Obviously, like, they've been doing a pretty good job to hype up Bleach. Though that's getting a little weird right now. With
no one knows where that's going.
I think so. Because it was pulled up. Apparently, all of Bleach has been pulled off Crunchyroll.
Oof.
Yeah, that was an anime manga earlier. So we're thinking it's gonna be Disney Plus, like for surezies.
God,
which is fine for me because I shell out money to those guys every month, even though I really need to catch up on shit like She-Hulk and Andor. I'll do it sometime next week, maybe. Yeah. So by the way, chat people at home, if you're wondering, yes, Omega's just as bad about live action TV as he is about anime. But. Yeah, so that's not a problem for me, but I understand that being weird for other people, and it's definitely, like, such a big, thing for... It's a weird switch, right? Because, like, I don't know about y'all, but when I watched Bleach, that was Adult Swim on, Cartoon Network on cable, which is a Warner Brothers thing. I'm very glad it's not going to, like, HBO Max. I'm very glad HBO doesn't seem to be in the anime business at all, otherwise I would have to murder them all. But, like...
Sorry, I really don't like the idea of, like, Disney trying to put, like, deeper fingers into the fucking anime pie, though. That's the thing that's killing me.
I know that they have... Oh, I should actually check if they're on Disney Plus, or they might be on Hulu. I know that Disney's subsidiaries had a lot of business with localizing and doing theatrical releases for Ghibli films.
Yeah.
And, like, that makes sense. Those are movies, you want to bring them to theaters.
Well, Twisted Wonderland makes sense because it's literally a gacha game about gender swap Disney princesses.
Well, and lots of other stuff as well. But also, I think it makes sense in the Disney branding because, like, Tokyo has their own Disneyland, which has, like, unique things. Like, they are plugged into that. Visions is also really good, but that was deliberately contracted. Unfortunately, Vision Seasons 2... Well, I shouldn't say unfortunately. Vision Seasons 2 has been announced, but they are planning a more international. They're not focusing only on Japanese anime studios, but I don't know if that will be quite the same vibes. I do hope they do talk to, like, Production IG and some other guys to make some of those shorts into series. Though, admittedly, Star Wars TV seems to be kind of finding its footing again. Like I said, people seem to generally like Andor. Obi-Wan was kind of hit or miss, but had some cool ideas, and seasons of The Mandalorian have been doing okay. Book of Boba Fett's very meh, guys. I'm gonna be honest with y'all. I watched it. Very mid. But yeah, no, the core's doing a lot of interesting things. Somebody said something very interesting about Gundam earlier today that I didn't even realize, but there hasn't been a core Gundam series on TV in like 6 years. IBO finished in 2017.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, I know, and I was just like, damn, has it been that long? And I was like, no, you're right, because I watched IBO. Like, it's like, damn, this has been a long fucking time. Weird. But yeah, there is quite a bit of anime coming, and we will probably be talking about it more on What's Up. That is the thing we usually do on our show. What's Up? Live with Omega and Lucky. Check it out. Streamed live every Saturday. Almost said Sunday. That's incorrect.
That reminds me I still need to upload the sprawl.
Sunday.
Alrighty. So, I don't want to spend money. Well, technically I think we have Disney Plus in this house, but no one uses it!
I admit my Disney Plus watching is very, very hit or miss. It's usually when there's a new Star Wars or Marvel TV show, but, like, they do have some stuff in there. Like, on the off chance you ever want to watch, like, an old-ass Disney movie, they got most of that stuff. If you suddenly have a hankering to watch The Great Mouse Detective, you can solve that problem. You really want to be reminded of the music of The Hunchback of Notre Dame, you can pull that shit up.
Sorry. Let us
They
move
gargoyles,
on.
don't they? Old school TV is another thing. Actually, did they announce finally that they were putting fucking the Buzz Lightyear TV show on Disney Plus? I feel like that happened. Did that happen? Am I crazy? I'll check my own Disney Plus app later. Maybe that'll give me an excuse to watch Andor. People are hankering for it. Anyway, I think we were going to jump to our next mailbag.
Yes. So this next one comes from Commandant of the Purifying Force. They say, hello, Lucky and Omega. How would you rate the Fae fandom as a whole, both in a positive and or negative light? Thanks, Ensign. Get everyone good vibes. Wah, 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 wah. This is the Commandant. Over and out. Well, unfortunately, I'm not part of the Fae fandom, so I couldn't tell you.
Is it a Morgan Le Fay fandom? It's still not spelled the right way. There's a Y and an E in here.
Must be some new hip thing.
No, what probably happened is we missed the T key.
Yeah, they are right next to each other. But we're going with an as is! And so... So this person, says, a man who knows what he did and is in debt. They say, question, hi, Lucky Omega, what are your favorite horror tropes with October coming up? P.S. Lucky, I know she's a tomface, I know she's crazy hot and has top-tier dojins, but until I get me some more info on her endgame, I'm not taking back what I said about the sexy, evil foe-kicking fat fox lady and she's staying on the punch list. Until further notice, no matter how much debt I get.
I mean, the man sticks to his principles.
He sticks to his principle, and I'm gonna stick that debt to him. I'm giving him another negative 1,000. Hang on one fucking second. I have a fucking accounting sheet.
Lucky charges you for principal.
Now you're negative 6,000.
But when will it be negative over 9,000? Under 9,000? Actually, how does that work with negative numbers? Do you say over? This is food for thought later. Let's not worry about math. Questions.
Also, this man has made this choice, and I shall not argue it. I could, but I won't.
There is also a PSS.
There is a PSSS. They say, love you guys, Mega Man streams. Good luck with X3. The beginning stages are rough. Thank you for watching them. I'm glad you enjoyed them. Do not know when we will actually be getting to X3, though.
Yeah, we'll see. We got a pretty packed late in the year, but we'll be seeing stuff.
We'll be doing stuff. We'll be getting there, though.
Streams in there. I think it's good to have these little bits and to just put them back there. And you should go watch the exciting conclusion. That one is not doing super great in the view count, I think, because it's only 2.5 hours. But Lucky beat the game. What the fuck do you want from us? Go watch it. It's cool. You can watch them back to back. Actually, since we've done 3 of them, I should make sure to make a Mega Man playlist for future.
Make it Mega Man X so people don't get confused.
True. And who the fuck knows? Maybe we will do Mega Man Legacy Collection.
I will not do Mega Man Legacy
I have hard confirmed that I am down to clown on streaming Battle Network when that Legacy Collection releases as well. That's gonna be a probably like an intermittent or filler series, though, and I will definitely be doing shit off-screen, because it is an RPG. But anyway, we'll work that out later. We don't even know when that's coming out next year. But yeah, so, on the question of horror tropes.
Unfortunately, I'm not much of a horror guy to begin with, so...
Yeah. I mean, I've watched most of the classics, and I've, played a little bit of, Dead by Daylight and stuff. It's usually not the horror stuff that gets me, I mean, you guys should know from us and how much we yell about it. The space horror tropes, I do think I kind of like to tangentially get into.
Yeah, space horror is good. I can say that.
Because, at its root, science fiction is just a form of speculative fiction. So, when your speculation inevitably speculates that shit's fucked, that lets you produce, space horror. So, Callisto Protocol coming out soon. I believe they had a new story-related trailer recently. Ooh, a little bit of hiccups. Wacky, wild, great. And, Dead Space is obviously, pretty popular with us. I've always been a big fan of the RPG Eclipse phase, which bills itself as a role-playing game with transhuman conspiracy and horror, because it deals with, really deep-cutting existential sci-fi horror stuff, losing your identity and aliens beyond you can. Kind of the cosmic horror type stuff, and obviously from our many Delta Green Games audience, you do listen to our Delta Green Games, right, audience? Right? I wish I was faster at editing that I could, find that sound clip and, freaky bass boost it like a Markiplier video or something, but I won't because, that's literally 2 seconds of a joke and it's just not worth it. Anyway, I've always been a fan of cosmic horror and existential stuff as just, basically, asking the real questions, right? What do you do when you're confronted with a force that's much bigger than you? What is the meaning of, time, space, the universe, and everything, That kind of stuff, can get really introspective, but also really freaky. the human mind is not ready for the scale, etc., etc. You can get very lazy and tropey with it as well, and it can get totally oversaturated, so if you're tired of Cthulhu everywhere, I understand. But I still like a lot of those stuff, but generally my horror definitely trends in the more, like I said, like existential or psychological direction. I can do a little body horror, but I usually wrap that into, like, something else. And obviously, like, the really gross shit, like, you know, eyes, fingernails, etc., that actually gives me the heebie-jeebies, so no. But, like, I don't know, there's a lot of horror tropes that people poke fun at because it's really just narrative convenience. Like, how many times have you watched a slasher movie and that guy's like, let's split up, gang, and you go, no, don't do that. The guy looks in the keyhole and you're like, no, don't do that, you're gonna get your eye stabbed out. And then he gets his eye stabbed out and you're like, I knew it. Like, there's some interesting back and forth, and we could have that longer form discussion some other time, but that's probably more for a what's up.
So, with that, let us move on. This next one comes from King of Apples, whose stock of the shiny bastards is over 1,000. That's a lot. Question, is there a character in FGO whose portrayal in other Fate titles you like more, or vice versa? And why? I feel this is a strange question. Well, okay, technically I do have an answer for this. Motherfucking Cursed Arm. Because, his only actual starring role is in Heaven's Field, where he is as we, say in the biz, a right bastard. But when you hang out with him in FGO, he's just, cool Uncle Hassan. And he's the fucking best. I love this man. Gives you a fucking throw for Valentine's. He doesn't even know. He's just like, hey, I just made you a throw. And I'm like, sick!
Hey, you want a piece of cloth? It's comfy.
Fuck yeah. It's like, hell yeah.
Honestly, in general, I would say that I probably have a lot I could say about characters, but only in what this person said, vice versa. Like, in general, usually because they're trying to make it so you want to summon them, but in general, FGO is tends to write characters as much more appealing. There are a couple of exceptions. Like, there are people who are still, for some reason, upset at, like, Gawain, or Tristan, or Scheherazade. But those are usually, like, characters, with the exception of Gawain. And honestly, Gawain's kind of a dickhead and extra anyway. But, like, usually you start to appreciate these characters more and, like, get used to them, whether that's, like, directly when they show up or usually when they're made summonable later. Like, obviously, Lost World Odysseus, huge asshole. Actual Odysseus, when you do the Aegean Breeze, he's just kind of a dude. He's kind of a guy. He's cool. I like him. I wish I'd fucking rolled him in, like, an indie pack and some hundreds of free quartz. Anyway, 6 Kirkis, no 5 stars. But, like, yeah, for the most part, in general, like, I find characters who are antagonistic or flat or just you don't get their perspective in other Fate works tend to be better in FGO, and I don't know if that's universal, but if it's not universal, that will be because of the fact that, like, I don't have the source material. Like, as a side character or one of the focal characters in Board Game Apocalypse, Fate Requiem, Edise is kind of like a brat, a dork, but I can't read Fate Requiem because somebody, Nasu, Type Moon, Sony, whoever, refuses to sell me pieces of paper in English. So, like, I don't really know anything about her normal characterization, so I can't really comment on that. Like, I could see it going the other way, but it's mostly for source material we don't have access to. And that's me's.
And that's him's. Mega had a lot to say about that, so we're just gonna keep going on. And this next one comes from Procrastinator, who is giving up his procrastinating ways for realsies this time, maybe. Since he bought a VIP ticket to the Trash Taste show. And missed not only the exclusive Q&A, but also the first 15 minutes of the actual show. Oof. Oof, oof, oof. In all seriousness, though I know this probably won't be my last time, my propensity for putting things off will get me in trouble, but I know improvement isn't a linear journey like you see in the movie/TV, so I'll keep at it. Forewarning. Wall of text. Speaking of improvement, with the announcement of Strange Fig, do you think Lysango could do us a solace and not spoil us for it before we get a gosh darn translation of Requiem? Since, let's be honest, we're probably going to get a collab, but if we get a collab with that before we get a collab RK proper, Queen Draco and Tiamat win Lysango, then I'm going to freak out like that guy did when he found out there was no Szechuan sauce left. In private, of course. I'm not that much of an animal. Anyway, sitting good vibes. Wah, 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 wah. Well, we will see. Like I said, the things for us to collab with only gets longer, never gets shorter. So,
I mean, I think for a couple of years in FGO it was getting shorter, but then FGO money came in, so it stopped getting shorter.
And then they just started collabing with themselves.
True facts.
Literally.
That's gonna be so weird next year, but we'll see how they handle that one. Yeah, I don't know, like, it would make sense for a Strange Fate collab to be next, but you gotta remember Strange Fate is structured as a Holy Grail War, so there are a minimum of 7 servant characters, some of whom we already have, obviously, but, like, still, that's, like, 7 characters, and that's not even accounting for, of course, there's weirdness, it's a Fate story. When was the last time you actually had just 7 fucking servants, and somebody else didn't come along to fuck it up? Not even Fate. Axe? I'm just talking about not spoiling it. Not everybody's going to know that. This person literally is talking about not spoiling Strange Fate before it gets officially released. You want me to fucking drop spoilers? But, still, as a prevalent point, even if you know nothing about Strange Fate, literally not even Fate Stay Night actually stuck to the 7 servants angle. Because Gilgamesh cursed Arm and technically Angermanyu. Even though he's not really a servant anymore. He's just a goop giant. Goop. But yeah, so that's still a pretty big list of characters for them to drop in. But I don't know if we're going to go full collab because we'll discuss this later. But to clarify, all they said at the Aniplex thing was TV special for Strange Fate.
Yes.
And they said that it's going to happen New Year's Eve, so it's going to happen on the FGO stream. Anyway, I could see a tie-in for, a New Year's banner, and they could do a collab, but there's a lot of other stuff they could do still, and may do in future, and that we don't know about, because the next collab is, nearly a year away. It's, 6 or 7 months to next April? Or is it technically next May? I mean, yeah, they did, but Case Files was complete at the time, I believe, and also the Case Files collab has, almost nothing to do with actual Case Files.
Also, another point of fact, Case Files was actually complete.
Yes.
Strange Fates is still ongoing.
Yeah, and that's probably why we're not going to go into a full series, they're not announcing a series that's premiering starting in December. They might use it as an episode 0 jump off into a season announcement, later in the year, but Strange Fate is still ongoing, so, to the question of spoil it, I mean, obviously there are twists and turns to spoil, but, at the ultimate state, the story's not done, so there's still some stuff they can't even fucking spoil, unless, Nasu turns over Narita and shakes the plot out of him. Which, theoretically could happen, it is Nasu, but I don't fucking know. And, obviously, there's stuff there to think about, to comment about, but, it's possible they'll do an anime series right away, but I don't know. It would be much more safe to just announce more Case Files seasons and cover more story arcs.
Yeah!
Since the Case Files anime doesn't even resolve the primary plot of Case Files. That's a little weird. I'm very surprised it's been 2 years and we haven't gone back to that well. They did, I guess, technically do that other New Year's special, which some people are speculating on, but it's not really directly related. There's a lot of things going on.
It could be like Ancients Magus Bride.
Yeah, we might get to it eventually.
Ancients Magus Bride is interesting because they actually had 2 3-part OVAs before their actual anime series.
Yes. And then they had a break, and now they're actually coming back with a new season.
Yep.
Is that this fall?
No, I don't think it's this fall.
Okay. I need to know when that happens, because I really like Ancient Magus Bride, but I didn't remember it. I just remember they announced they're actually doing it. It might be winter. January, yeah, winter. Okay. Cool beans. I'll keep that in mind, or I won't. But yeah, no, people have talked about the arcade collab and other weird stuff we're doing, so, there's some things we could do. Honestly, for Requiem, I will say this, I guess technically some stuff was spoiled in Requiem, character beats, but I'm fairly certain the Requiem collab has nothing to do with Requiem's actual fucking story. It's April, wow, okay. Going all the way to spring, damn. Well, they gave us plenty of
it was only announced, a few weeks ago. Well, maybe, a month, I don't know. What is time?
But they're giving us plenty of lead up. That's okay. But yeah, the Requiem collab, did get a couple of character beats, but doesn't really and can't really spoil the plot of Requiem because there's 2 volumes of it out. And again, those story-wise, those volumes have nothing to do with the Requiem event from my understanding. So there are limits on what they do. I suspect if it happened, a Strange Fate collab would be similar in that obviously they'd probably include a welfare a couple of, like you'd get a 5-star, maybe a 4-star, probably a 4-star. We usually do 4 stars on collab banners these days. And add them on reruns if we don't have them. But like that's a servant roster of like 3 servants. You could probably avoid spoiling major story beats because, like I said, there's like a whole ass twist and there's other shit and they're not even fucking done. Literally, the light novel series is not done, so the actual like conclusion results and other stuff aren't even out for them to spoil yet. So they could possibly do it without spoiling. We'll see. The main thing would be, like, obviously, technically anything could be a spoiler. I guess the question for them is, A, are they ever gonna goddamn release the light novels over here? At this stage, no. Like, I can't in good confidence say they will, because they fucking haven't for years. Like, FGO has been coming out in NA for, like, 5 years, and there has been, as far as I know, 0 effort to get some of these light novels translated for Fate, which is really weird, because light novels are blowing the fuck up in America. But anyway. But, like, the reason for them not to do that for JP doesn't exist, basically. Like, Lasengel has no reason not to talk about content that their audience can access, because their audience can access it. Like, obviously, they are very aware of their global presence, and they are trying to be better about bringing us stuff that they can, but, like, for the Requiem collab, that was the collab that year. What are they gonna do? Skip the event? And I know that Albert talked about their plans if they ever had to for some reason, but they didn't do that for CCC, so they probably won't do that for anything else. Like, I think we're in this for the long haul, and I don't think Lasengel as it exists has the capacity to start publishing Strange Fake for us. Like, I just don't think that's in their wheelhouse, their chain of command. I mean, they can probably push, like, if people complain that, like, hey, we were upset that, the Requiem event spoiled stuff for us for Requiem because we know that is published because we are aware of the internet, and, we would like to actually read it. I guess they might see, but yeah, I don't feel like people are actually raising that hullabaloo, So yeah, it's an interesting one. I mean, speaking about their last half, they're talking about getting a Strange Fate collab before an arcade collab. I mean, I think people thought that would happen, technically, but given that our last 2 collabs have been with other FGO things, Learning with Manga and Moonlight Waltz, which, again, by the way, actual comment for Albert and Lasengel and Aniplex and everybody, if you do that collab without giving us the fucking app, that's not going to make any sense. Give me the rhythm game. I know you didn't do it for Anniversary, but, like, it's supposed to be a permanent feature. Just drop it. Actually give me the app. The music licensing will be fine. You own all of it. That's all in the chain of command. It can't possibly be that hard. Anyway, I honestly, like I was saying, I said all that to get to this point where I personally think that it will be much more likely that we would get an arcade collab before a Strange Fate collab at this rate, just because of the way we've been handling collabs lately. Audience, leave your thoughts in the comments below.
Yeah. So, with that, let us keep going. This next one comes from Spending Friend Points. And they say, Season's greetings, Studio Omega. Ugh. I have some fun numbers for you after rolling 3 million friend points during Guda Guda. In approximately 1,500 rolls, I pooled 2,010 coins worth of Nobukatsus along with 8 Saber Lilies for a pool rate of 0.53% and 2 Angry Mangoes with a pool rate of 0.13%. This is just my sample set, but it matches a lot of the numbers I found about Lily's rank and Angra's numbers all over the place, so it's hard to compare. I have a question net weeks, but in the meantime, thanks for the content and have a good week. Same to you, sweet math.
Yeah,
I'm surprised you kept track of it. I am slightly ashamed to say I did not roll as much on the friend point gacha as I did. I did spend like 400k, but I just fell off it. There was just some days I just couldn't get my Guda Guda going,
Yeah, I think I spent about the same amount, mostly for kicks.
But let's see here.
Yeah, interesting numbers.
Yep.
That is kind of curious that, like, nobody seems to have nailed down a number for Angra. He is the secret servant.
He is a secret servant. But let me see here. Is there anything else? Nah. So we move on. This next one comes from Moon is dealing with midterms. They say, question, hello there, Omega and Luck. I hope you're doing well. Although they're not an accurate mean of intelligence, have you done an IQ test? And what was your score? I probably did them once in a while a long time ago, but I don't remember.
Yeah, I know I took one as a kid, but I don't remember my actual final score, because or at least the version I took did, like, one for, like, mathematics numbers brain versus, like, word brain, which a lot of standardized testing does. My word brain score was very, very high, but my math brain score was very normal, in case you haven't ever heard Omega talk, or try to do math. So, I don't remember the exact numbers anymore.
Fortunately, we have to move on. So, on we go. This next one comes from Hassan of the Unexpected Banners. You thought it was the Xmas rerun? Ha ha! Ha ha! But it was I, Jalter. Hey, Lucky Omega, how's Valentine treating you? No question, just crushing despair from the realization that Morgan, Korinskaya, and Oberon come at you in the space of 2 months. No pressure, all good, only good, also good vibes. Wah 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 wah. Well, joke's on you. I'm not, what's the word looking for? It's not the word, I'm just not vibing, but I'm not stressing on Oberon.
Yep, pressured.
If he comes, he comes.
Also, we don't know that actual number is correct, because one of those is an anniversary servant, so some of those things need to get shuffled around. There might be bigger gaps than you think. Also, double jokes on you. You asked a question. Ha-ha! There's a question mark in your response. Didn't think about that one, did you?
Also, like, there's no right or comma in this equation, so this person does not understand how I work. Ooh.
It's a decent amount of time on that one, I think, anyway. Wasn't summer pretty late that year?
We don't know what time it is we don't know what time is going to be like in a year.
Well, true, but at the very least, it can't be too different. Like, it's not going to be before the anniversary, because Lucky Bag summons, so there's a limit on how weird they can get. We'll have to see, because there's going to be the thing with LB6 as well, being split up into so many banners.
This next one comes from Street Shark, who says, "Hey, Lucky Omega, no question this week, just wishing you well and sending the good vibes. Hope Omega didn't get hit too bad by the storm. Thanks and have a good week." I wonder why your alias is Street Shark. Has there been a story of
yes, there were several Twitter videos. Obviously, people have been talking about Gatas, but there was at least one video in Fort Myers where the actual landfall happened, so that's where it was the worst. There were sharks that had been washed into the streets. Because hurricanes big. We had many discussions over the week about how fucking huge they are.
I'm gonna pat myself on the back for immediately knowing what the Street Shark reference was. Good job, Lucky. Good job. Oh, thank you, Lucky.
NASA
You're welcome,
had some
Lucky.
primo orbital footage from the ISS of Ian, just to let you know. Again, can see it from space.
Nice.
But yeah, no, I'm fine. We basically didn't get anything. Which is weird. Like, technically we were under tropical storm conditions, but in Florida, that's not bad. That can get way more worse. There's 5 whole tiers above that one, so it was alright. We didn't even lose power over here, though that was probably a very near thing. I looked at some maps of, like, power outages by county, and I'm, like, 1 or 2 counties over from places that even still got partial hits, so, yeah. For us, it was a lot of fuss about nothing, but for other people, it was not that. Quite a lot of bad stuff happened. A lot of Waffle Houses had to close, which is very unusual.
Not the Waffle Houses!
Oh, Waffle House is insane. Complete tangent, but, like, I know that Waffle House is not good food, but you can eat there, and they have a very strong policy about disasters and disaster response. They will literally fly in extra employees to stay open under certain disaster conditions.
Wow.
Because people need to eat. So you know that shit is fucked if Waffle House is like, oh, no, we're closing. Like, that's when you know it's really bad. Well, not even Waffle House wants to be open. Because they actually go out of their way to try and stay open so that people, have food, have hot food. Like, they will literally send disaster response teams out. Extra staffers who know how to, like, run the gas and shit. And I believe, like, what was it, like, fucking every Waffle House between, like, Orlando and Miami was closed. It's bad. It was very bad. It went south of me, but yeah, it was a pretty rough storm for a lot of other people. And will continue to be, because it's gonna work its way back out into the ocean and smack you again.
Boomerang!
It's almost as crazy as the fact that the Tropical Storm Fiona actually fucking hit Canada. Like, that one really tore up Puerto Rico and then went straight north and it went so far north that it actually slammed into Canada. Well, if you're decently inland, it's probably not so bad. But a lot of those southern states that aren't Florida have terrible fucking infrastructure when it comes to floods because they forget about the hurricanes. They forget that they too live within Poseidon's embrace. Anyway, we got a few more of these.
We got a few more. So, let us keep going. This next one comes from Gotcha Newbies Anonymous. They say, greetings, Lucky and Omega. Question. As someone that just fell down the FGO rabbit hole just before Grailfront ended only to get buried in one banner after another, do you have any thoughts on upcoming servants in the next few months? After whiffing on Himiko, I was rebuilding my ticket and prism stockpile for Muramasa when I found out about Van Gogh, and the sudden jolter surprise as someone unlikely to get any of the higher tier supports until they come back around. What should a new player look out for? Waifu fever aside. P.S. I hope you're doing well and wishing you good vibes. Oh man, this is the cool thing that everyone wants to know what they should roll for. But again, it's one of those really weird things. It depends on what you have already and what you feel comfortable with. Like, me personally, for the longest time, I loved, arts and art strats, so I ignored a lot of the Buster and, crit meta that was going around for the first couple years until, we got some good servants for it. Now, I can live stress-free with Musashi, Talamo, and Castoria. But, like, Jolter is still a very good unit to use, even though she might have been, crept on a little bit by some other units. But she still requires, I guess what I think is probably the best strat is usually you have your big damage dealer and then 2 supports to make the damage dealer go even more damage, whether that's single target or AoE.
And this is why units like Arash and Chang'e are popular, because they let you clear waves before a boss and automatically cycle to your supports.
Yeah. So, unfortunately, I don't know Van Gogh or Nemo's kid at all. I just want Nemo
Van Gogh is Quick and Curse, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
So, chat, does Van Gogh loop? Because this person just talked about how they probably don't have access to Scotties and stuff. So if you don't have the setup for the double Scotty loopology, you probably can't make that looping happen. So you might, not be worth it. But foreigners are pretty fun. There are going to be some pre that. Though banners, I should be looking at a different wiki if I want to grab what banners they're on. Let's see. Oh yeah, Van Gogh's one of those weird servants. Got a quick NP, but got an arts NP, but got 3 quick cards. But yeah, there's a lot of crit stuff and playing around with interesting things. So,
like, honestly, like, I know it's weird to say, but really the best thing is to roll for what you want and build your teams around that.
Yeah, somebody in our patron chat said a famous line to our community, but yeah, follow the dick inside your heart.
Yeah.
Like, just whatever you think is right to roll for it, and you can build a team around it. Like, if you really want Jolter, obviously units like Waver and Merlin are best for her, but let me tell you, before Merlin came out, because Jolter came out like a year? 6 months? 8 months? Quite some time before Merlin. I did, get lucky with my Jolter, so I did comps. You can do Buster support for Jolter with just units like Hans and Leonidas.
Yeah, no, like, don't sleep on your lower rarities, especially if you're sleeping second of like Medea is, she's not the best single target, but she can stab a lot, especially if you pair her with Paracelsus and Hans.
Yeah.
You can get a pretty strong caster arts team going there.
And if you get lucky with some of your summon banners, you might get some 4-stars to get through there,
It's like, don't sleep on Chingon or Arash.
Yes.
Those will be very good for helping clears.
Yeah.
People might, like, Blackbeard is actually a very, very well kitted out low-star rider, believe it or not, if you want to go with a Buster AoE rider. Alexander is okay on support for quick. But
if you need a DPS on the cheap, Chad has reminded us, regular Coup is basically the secret 4-star. Like, he is... obviously, people have probably heard, if you know enough about FGO to know, like, Jolter stuff, big supports, like, know who's in the rabbit hole. You've probably heard of, like, Super Ryan solo clears. Before that, it was Coup meme clears. Like, that was the thing. People used to use Grailed or even not Grailed Kukulin to, solo content. That's how much of a cockroach he is. So, like, yeah, build yourself around, like, you will have gotten a 4-star in your tutorial role. You will have a bevy of 3 and lower stars. Take advantage of the fact that they do these little campaigns, like right now. There is a double FP if you pick a bonus servant. So if you can find somebody on that Christmas list to use, go for it. By the way, that cuts both way. So, chat at home, if you need extra FP after spending it all on Guda, consider throwing up some of your more Christmassy themed units right now to get some extra FP, because you get double both ways. So pretty fun stuff like that. This year, I will say, there are a couple of big deal ones in the end of the year. Doman does a lot for Curse and Quick stuff as well. If you are going Buster or end up going Buster, Ibuki Doji is a very powerful unit for farming. She's got a Pierce Invul and a big Buster NP and stuff like that. Muramasa is very similar. Vishra is permanent, but yes, is also, if you are trying to get into the arts meta, a good arts looper. So, like, there's a lot of big hitters at the end of the year. And also, there will be opportunities for older servants. Like, you may actually get a chance to re-roll some of those old supports on, like, a New Year's or a Thanksgiving banner that we do in NA. So, keep your eyes peeled, for St. Quartz. If you're trying to FTP cruise, obviously you want to save yourself, minimize and stuff. Though, hey, keep in mind, New Year's also means a lucky bag, so keep your eye out for that. Try and make sure you have a little bit of cash. It's only $15, I think, worth the St. Quartz you need. Technically, maybe a little bit more because it's 15 St. Quartz, but you know what I mean.
Also, I do want to say, it might not be perfect anymore, but we still have the general gist. Like, before you commit to actually rolling for anyone, check to see what future banners they may or may not have. Like,
yeah, we have 2 years of reruns. I think Muramasa has, like, one more rate up. Let me see if I can track down. Like, I know that they brought Ibuki Doji regular back at least once.
Original flavor?
Yeah. Let me see. Muramasa campaigns. Yeah, the only one the Grand Order wiki lists right now is that Happy New Year's. So if he's got one, it's got to be recent. Let me see if I can figure out if he's got one. Oh, that is another good thing to point out. Welfares. Welfares exist. They're a great way to get NP5 4-stars if you're just starting out. Santa Carna is allegedly good, and this will be your only opportunity to get him, so don't sleep on that Christmas event when it happens. Let's see. Do we have banner sandwich in here somewhere? Yeah, no. So far for Muramasa, it's just lucky bags and the New Year's campaign. So there's no straight-up Muramasa rate up. So if you are interested in Muramasa, he will not be on a regular banner anytime soon. Did they introduce Pity with this New Year's, or is that next New Year's? I think it's next New Year's, right? Something. Not that we might not get Pity early, but, it was Koensky of Dark was the Pity release. Okay. So, but yeah, so, like, if you want to go on that Muramasa ham, this is your one good opportunity to get a straight-up banner with him, so consider that with your savings, But who knows, maybe you'll be enticed to roll Saber Astolfo. That's another quick unit. Who knows? You always got to prepare for stuff, right?
Right.
I will say the one thing is, does Raiko have a banner as part of the pre-release for Heiankyo? Yeah, that's another one to keep an eye out for. Obviously, she's not as popular thanks to, other arts and quick farmers, but for a long time, Raiko was a very powerful farmer and is still thanks to buffs. So if you want to make farming content easier, consider rolling on a Raiko rate up. I believe Kintoki will be in there somewhere. Kintoki is still a phenomenal single-target boss-killing unit if you're having trouble beating up bosses. 50% attack at monstrous strength. They can't teach that. Yeah, Kintoki is great for raids. He's a very strong boy. But yeah, so there's a few out there. I would say, familiarize yourself with them. If they're old units, for a decent number of 5 stars, we have a very large backlog of our Wanted series. I believe, Wanted is its own playlist. So, obviously to toot our own horn. But if you're interested, feel free to go back and scroll old Wanteds to check out what units do and see if they fit your previous, servants you've rolled, Other than that, like I said, keep your eye out for Lucky Bag summons to guarantee SSRs, hopefully of ones you don't have, and go on from there.
Alrighty.
A solid question.
Let us move on. The next one comes from, I don't want to find the equilibrium constant of...
Hold on, it's not how you write that.
What is this?
I mean, it's a gas equilibrium question, but is that the correct way? Do you write 2NB?
Why is there a gas equilibrium equation in mailbag?
Because this person is an asshole. I'm gonna say it. You're an asshole. You just constantly come up with weird new aliases for Lucky to read, and we don't like it. Why do you do this?
I don't know how to scientifically read this. I don't.
Well, yeah, that was my thing. I was like, is 2NBr1? I don't remember what gas Br is. Boron? Beryllium? Hydrogen?
Bromide? I don't know.
Bromide? Yeah, that could be one. N is nitrogen, but also it says 2N. Shouldn't that be N2? Or are we doubling? It's been a long time since I did chemistry, guys.
Oh, it's bromine. Or bromine.
I believe it's bromine.
Okay, my dude, for real, I am glad that you send stuff in. I'm glad that you want to hear our voice and stuff. But this is not a contest to make me try to sound as fucked up as possible. Or confuse me, or make me feel like an idiot. Because I'm feeling like a little bit of an idiot right now, and I don't like this feeling. So thank you to that. I'm skipping this fucking question. I hope you think about this and what you do with your life.
God, I'm talking about fucking moles, and I'm like, I don't even remember how to calculate. I forgot. Listen, I like science. I thought chemistry was cool. I haven't used fucking any of that in, like, 10 years. Longer, probably, technically. Because obviously I, as a criminal justice major, didn't have to take any chem in college. Anyway, we're moving on.
Oh, this next one comes from Agent 418. They say, hello, Lucky and Omega. Have either of you ever said or done something in or before a game, and you seem to get pretty lucky in that game after you say or do that thing? I'm not entirely sure I followed this. Hang on, let me reread this real quick here. Have either of you ever said or done something in or before a game? There's a lot of fucking qualifiers here.
Yeah.
Have either of you ever said or done something in or before a game and you seem to get pretty lucky in that game after you say or do that thing? Yeah, there's a lot of and ors in here, literally.
If, then, and, or. It's like we're being programmed right now.
For me, every time have cement work and a Jalter is up banner, she tends to show up real quick in Rainbow Spark every time. Have a good weekend. I'm not entirely
second
sure.
One is like, the grammar is awful.
I'm assuming that you say something, and then you get a Jalter, and it's very nice. And that's very good for you. But also, I'm not entirely sure what you're saying here.
Yeah, that second line especially is like, needs some connecting bits. I'm not sure about the grammar there. Like, are you saying every time you have cement work to do, Jalter shows up? That sounds like one of those, if every time blah 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 happened, and if I had a nickel for every time blah 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 happened, I'd have 2 nickels, but it's funny that happened twice kind of a thing. Like, I don't know, that's like a context thing. Like, if you're talking about roll rituals, first of all, you gotta remember to roll at 3 a.m. at the peak of your mana. And you also allowed you wake the neighbors. This is confirmed. That's a pretty old joke. I don't even know if anybody's gonna get that anymore. There's some very funny drama CDs and videos for them that have some things related to FGO that are quite old now.
Listen, I still watch the Gouda drama CDs every New Year's. That's my New Year's ritual.
Yeah, it's pretty fun. Those are good. Like, the little catalyst mats are pretty funny, but usually I just, when it's time to roll, it's time to roll. I occasionally like to make bets either with myself or the audience about how things will go, but, that's neither here nor there.
Alright, but moving on. This next one comes from Boardwalk Burgers, more like board burgers. I want burgers now. How dare. Do we have... Oh no, we only have the frozen patties. I used up all the ground beef. I don't want to use frozen patties. Those suck. They suck.
They are indeed frozen.
I'm gonna throw them. I could throw them at people and cause critical damage. So, they say though, what are your thoughts on the speculations of the New Year Servant based on the OVA Fate Strange Fake we'll be receiving? My thoughts are, it's most definitely maybe.
I don't fucking know anymore.
And
they'll do whatever the fuck they want.
And last, but definitely not least, this last one comes from the Eternal Storm, who says, "Hey guys, just checking in to say hi. No question this week." Well, thank you. I'm doing okay. I'm alive, so is Omega. We are grateful to know that you care.
Yes. And it is worth saying that technically that, for me, that was in question. There were certain versions of that storm track, and especially when it picked up speed and it was going to hit late Tuesday night / early Wednesday morning, there was definitely a little bit of like, okay, should we be concerned? Well, I guess we'll just have to play it by ear. And it turned out not to be a big deal for me, but that's, very narrow margins with this shit. Okay, all right. That is the mailbag. That means it is time to pivot on back over to Chaldea's Free Talkus. Talkius Freebius.
The frickus and the frackus.
Freebius, by the way, has nothing to do with Latin. I don't know the etymology of free, but that would not be it. Anyway, we got a couple of items to talk about, plus a Fanservant Friday in a little bit, because it is the last show of the month. It's also the last day of the month. Funny how that works out sometimes. But yeah, there's a small handful of stuff. Very recently, it was actually just today, there was another Chaldea Break Room put up on the official FGO Twitter. This is a thing they do occasionally. And it is, a special kind of Twitter-only, thing they do. on social media, so you should check it out. And I do believe we get these in English first, and then they end up in Japanese usually. I know that they do translate them back into Japanese, because I believe that the JP fanbase actually had a little bit of a hubbub when we got like exclusive artist commentary and shit. But this one is themed mostly around Nobukatsu and some Guda stuff, so if you're interested, you can, learn more about what Nobukatsu does as a servant, some of their design stuff for him. I think it's kind of fun to talk with some of their, 3D artists they've got over there, talking about, like, they gave Nobukatsu a lot of really flashy special effects. They didn't give Nobukatsu a lot of flashy special effects, sorry, to try and, like, make him seem weaker, because he is only a 1-star servant, And they've got those assisted animations and stuff. But they also have some stuff about writers on the team to talk about, like, Guda in general, how they ended up, like, doing some of that writing, picking certain things. For instance, the kind of, comedy duo of Nobu and Okita kind of happened because apparently Takeuchi was the one who suggested that for FGO stuff they do some stuff in the style of Kohei Ace, but obviously that was originally, like, while it did include fake characters, that was originally with Tsukihime characters, so obviously that would make a lot of sense for FGO, so they ended up doing it with upcoming, potential servants. Presumably they knew they would do the Guda event and stuff already, because that was, within, like, the first 6 months. And that kind of built up this, comedy dynamic. So yeah, there's lots of good fun stuff. You can read all and more on their Twitter. I also dumped the link to it in our Discord, so check it out. But always good to see these little tidbits, especially because, again, speaking of things that aren't translated, we don't get the materials books for FGO over here, which normally comes with this kind of writer and artist commentary. And arguably, the Chaldea break rooms are sometimes even more in-depth, because, like I said, they got one of Lasingle's actual, like, 3D artists to talk about what they do with, like, in-game animations and stuff design, which is something we don't always get a lot of peek behind the curtain on. It's neat. So the next thing is, obviously, you were talking about it with the mailbag. We've been talking about it all throughout there. But last week's show, we got a big speculation. Aniplex teased several things for their secret hour. I think it was actually, was it like a 40-minute section? Their secret section in their big, online festival thing. That happened later that same night as we did the show. And it turns out that one of the things was indeed Strange Fake. They didn't really have a lot to show us, but they did have an announcement. They had some details and stuff. And so I mentioned this earlier, but in case you forgot or skipping around timecodes or whatever, basically they confirmed it will be a TV special. So not a full series yet, not a full core announcement. The TV special will air on New Year's Eve. This means, like, guaranteed 100% this will be during their special FGO New Year's livestream. Like, they've done that, 3 years in a row, I think? Something like that? 4?
It's something like that. It's
a lot. Like, they very usually have a little TV special that they will show on stream, which also airs on TV. So, they're gonna show it on stream, no doubt. That'll be the part that, some of us can't watch, depending on what platform we're on, whatever. But yeah, that's just, obviously pattern breaking, all that fun stuff, but, no, that's how it's gonna go down.
Actually, no, we gotta remember, we're in the time of our global, colonial overlord Sony. They might be able to wing something simultaneous for us. Maybe
yeah,
not,
they might just dump it.
It might not be, as the stream airs it, but it should probably be, in, the day after it or something.
Well, it's true. In case you missed our comment on this on WhatsApp, Albert actually did come out, he showed up on the big screen at the festival for this. So, talking about, because he is apparently Aniplex USA's head of all Fate localization. Getting a little bit of a promo for himself.
Yeah, they said simuldub, yeah.
Yeah, so he announced that they will straight up be doing a literal simuldub. The plan is to have an English dub version of the Strange Fake special available at basically the same time as the Japanese premiere. So, like Lucky said, it may not be as, depending on what platform you're watching on, we may or may not be able to actually catch the TV special be displayed on the, YouTube stream version of the FGO stream. But at about that same time, I don't know if it will be literally the same time. It could be. Some of these drops for shit like premieres and trailers and stuff is, very precisely timed these days. But, it will probably be within very soon of that. So I would also assume that they will probably have it also available in the Japanese language for people who prefer. And obviously that makes sense for Fate because the FGO game is obviously in Japanese dialogue. God knows how they would handle hiring and paying English actors to do an English voice pack for the game.
I just realized I've done a huge sin.
What's up?
I have not used the fucking Medusa CE.
Oh, rip.
Oh, fuck it. I'm gonna change that right fucking meow. I know what I'm about. I know what Omega's about.
Yeah. Also, the Medusa CEs are all really good. Lots of detail in there. Anyway, what was I saying? Right. But yeah, so, like, they're trying to keep this, global experience and stuff going, so that's really cool news. Obviously, they have done what are called simuldubs in the past for select titles, but even then, that's usually, like, I believe there's usually, like, a 8 or 12-hour gap between those releases. Albert phrased it as, like, at the same time this is available in Japan, it'll be available in English, kind of a thing, so we'll see. But yeah, as a TV special, it's probably going to be, like, 20 to 30 minutes. The only characters they've announced with voices they've announced is, I think I mentioned this earlier, but Ayaka, Saber, Lancer, Archer. I do kind of find it funny that even though, obviously for the Japanese audience, though again, we did talk about they are aware of the global audience, they made sure to have everything have pipped in subtitles between English and Japanese both ways. Albert had Japanese subs under him. But the point being that they made sure to actually do the Fate thing and conceal the names of characters. Even though if you know the voice actors, you will recognize the VAs for Lancer and Archer. Again, it's Enkidu and Gil. It's not that hard if you pay attention. But yeah, so that's only a cast of like 4 characters. Those are major characters, and presumably there are some extra characters with some extra voices to be announced in there. But it seems like we're playing this a little close to the vest. It's obviously going to be a little minimal. It's only like TV special.
To me, it definitely sounds like this might be. I really do think this is an episode 0.
Yes, it is probably a prelude to a season to come at a later core.
Like, listen, Whispers of Dawn. Like,
yeah, right.
That's
the subtitle I was looking for.
Yeah, Whispers of Dawn. That's like the first things you hear before something starts.
Yeah, that's big prologue energy.
Yeah.
So. Oh, and we should specify, this is going to be done in-house by A1 Pictures.
Nice.
So.
I'm super excited. Your boy, Hiroyuki Sawano is doing the OST, which is good because he did the, when they did that CM a few years back.
Yeah.
Of the Strange Vague, they used him and it worked very well. I'm like, yes! Yes!
I believe A1 also, animated that CM.
Yes,
so,
they
they've got a grasp on the style. It'll be interesting to see what they do. I know Sawano's done some, I'm pretty sure he's done some Fate stuff before.
I don't know if he's done some Fate stuff before. He's definitely worked with A1.
I know Yuki Kajira is their normal audio collaborator, but I feel like they're because there are a lot of Fate series and soundtracks. I feel like Sawano did some stuff for some other ones.
I will double check real quick. I can't remember all the literally Sawano is one of those buzzword composers nowadays.
Yeah. But yeah, so they've got their announcements, they've got their stuff going on. Obviously, like we talked about this earlier, this has people speculating will we get a servant for New Year's? Out of the announced characters, the only one who's actually new is Saber. So we'll see what's going on. I agree
what
with...
the fuck?
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Apparently Sawano Hiryuka is doing the ending theme for Bleach. I was just like, what?
Ooh.
Excuse.
Interesting.
Yeah, no, I'm just pulling up his profile here real quick. Let's see, promotional video.
If they do the OST like they've been doing the remixes for the fucking trailers, it's gonna slap so hard. Anyway, different question.
Yeah, no, this is he did the promotional for the CM and this. So no, this is his first fake work.
Right.
First fake work.
I mean, I guess if they got him for the CM, it's like, okay, you understand the vibes, so we can work with this. So yeah, again, it's a TV special, but I agree with what Lucky said earlier. This probably sounds like they are trying to lead up to eventually doing a full core. Obviously, if they do the case files route, they could probably just do the first couple volumes of the light novel and then wait for there to be more content and work on it later. There are actually quite a lot of anime series that are being produced that way nowadays if they have longer running content, because trying to do fucking everything week to week is hell.
Mhm.
Like, are there still anime that really do that? Like are constantly up? Is One Piece still doing that?
One Piece
or do they take
has to.
breaks now?
No, One Piece is still going. Like, there's a lot of long-running series that they are doing it with.
Yeah, they just haven't fucking finished, so they can't change. Yeah, makes sense.
But I think nowadays they try to get out a batch of episodes done at a time.
And then basically, because anime studios are so fucking slam jammed, it takes them like literally 2 cores or sometimes even like all 4 cores a whole year before they can come back to it.
Oh god, it reminded me hearing about like ever since Edge Raiders come out, CD Projekt Red apparently has been like talking a lot about like the development process, and when they first like hired on Trigger to do it, Trigger's like, "We're busy right now, we can't do it. Get back to us later, please."
Yeah, because like
okay.
Trigger wants the business, they want to do the work, obviously, because they turned out an amazing job. But when, especially starting out, Trigger is still, I think, a smaller studio. I think they've only got the pipeline for like 1 project in proper production at a time. So, like, yeah, obviously I can see, and I think that's why the anime was delayed to like 2 years after the game came out. It was just because they wanted to do this partnership with Trigger, but Trigger was so slam jammed up that they couldn't, you know? Similar things happen with other series, like, obviously, Ancient Magus Bride took a break because I believe they were fairly caught up to the manga.
Oh yeah, no, I'm pretty sure, the anime, basically finished when the arc of the manga finished, and I'm pretty sure they're gonna do the same thing with, this one too, because it's, the college arc looks like it's winding down, and I'm just like, it's very well timed. I'm just like,
And this also happens sometimes. Sometimes anime producers work very closely with their mangaka to get this kind of timing. But yeah, like, there are definitely cases where you will get these kinds of, like, breaks and stuff. I don't actually know how David Production is currently doing JoJo Part 6, but I would assume that they are probably, like, doing it in a similar, because obviously Netflix has the rights, so they're dumping everything in a big batch on Netflix, and then they roll it out over the rest of the core on Japanese TV, and then it comes back the next loop. But, like, depending on how these, like, 12-episode batches are produced, you know, that means that they can actually get out there, you know? It's interesting. All right, I'm going to save it the thumbnail, and I click 5 of the wrong folders, and then save it in the correct folder. But yeah, so I could totally see them doing, like, especially because while A1 is obviously, and Cloverworks are obviously big studios, they're still doing a lot of fucking projects. Like, I think, Lucky, you and I were surprised at how many projects were internally announced at this Aniplex thing, right? Like, every time a project would come out, it'd be like, ooh, what studio is this? Oh shit, it's A1 again. There were a couple that are actually from other studios, but yeah, like, they're doing a lot on their plate, so I would totally imagine that, like, even now, this TV special isn't going to come out for, like, 3 months, and then it's just going to be the TV special, so I would expect it to probably be like Case Files, where it probably won't, if they have a season to follow up, which I assume they would, it probably will not be until, whatchamacallit, probably spring or summer core.
I mean, that's how it was with Case Files.
Yeah, it's not going to be the full thing, it's going to be 12 episodes. It will probably be less anime original than Case Files was, I would assume, because honestly, with Case Files, you can argue the way Case Files was structured, at least from my understanding of the light novel volumes, Case Files is almost episodic. Like, it's called Case Files, right? So it's about these different cases, so you can break that up in different ways. Whereas Strange Fake is, while weird and unique, is definitely much more of a linear story. So I would assume they will begin at the beginning and go on until they come to the end. But we may get some gap months in theirs. But yeah, so Strange Fake, we'll see what we do. I mean, obviously, I think with this, people have talked about, you know, New Year's speculation, collab speculation. I'm gonna assume everybody's gonna put their money on a Strange Fake themed collab, Strange Fake servants for New Year's and whatever. I will once again just say, we will see. We'll see what happens. Also, not directly Fate related, but does actually involve a cadre of a lot of Type Moon boys. Another thing that was announced in a secret time is Eisenflugel, a passion project by Gen Urobuchi. I think he turned it into a light novel after they were originally going to do some anime movies, and that fell through.
I do believe it was a... Actually, I don't remember now.
It was a series or a movie that they were planning to do, and then that didn't go anywhere, so I believe he wrote some light novels or some manga as like a way to get the story out. But they're doing an actual anime adaptation. Original character designs by Takeuchi, Yuki Kajira on the soundtrack, so
Yeah!
definitely got some of the vibes of the Greater Type Moon, what does TV tropes call this? I think it's also an industry term. I think it's creator posse. Basically, you know that when you get a certain creator involved, you're usually going to get their friends associated. So, like, if for instance, Yoshi P shows up to produce a video game, you know that he's probably bringing some other people with him.
Yeah.
Like, if you look at the credits for Final Fantasy 16. Anyway, so we're getting some of the Type Moon, cadre in there. Not directly related to Fate, but still an interesting thing to see. Also, I'll be honest, jet fighters and dragons, I'm into this.
Yeah.
Seems cool. But it's a good thing to note. We do also have another little bit of anime-related news. This was announced very recently, but speaking of, I believe it was from Aniplex. Let me find it. Somebody dropped a tweet. Yes, Aniplex USA did a trailer and announced a release date for the complete Blu-ray set of Fate Grand Carnival. That will be the 11th of October. So, I believe that does technically line up with when the pre-release campaign for the Christmas pre-release rerun ends. So I'm gonna guess we'll probably get another, little campaign. You'll probably get, 10 St. Quartz. We might have, an Aresh banner.
Mm-hmm.
I know some people are speculating. That would also arguably be vaguely Christmas-themed. So, keep your eyeballs out for that one. I do think it's kind of interesting, and I'm glad at least that we're getting, a couple of weeks of pre-notice. They usually announce, some of this stuff ahead of time when they've got, big things going on, but because I'm pretty sure that we're not going to get any, Chaldea broadcasting stations for a while, we might get a stream for Imaginary Scramble? My emphasis on might. But, without these, major FGO-related releases for them to center on, industry panels and stuff like that, news can get a little thin on the ground, so it's good that they just, drop us an announcement, even if it's relatively close. But yeah, if you're interested in the Blu-rays for the complete Blu-ray collection for Fate Grand Carnival, in American, they've got them, and we'll probably get a little tie-in of it. Let's see. Any other rando pando Fate-related anime stuff or other business we got going on anybody thinks we're missing? Obviously, stay tuned to stuff. I will say, I'm still surprised, but also kind of not surprised that, there have been, a lot of people are speculating about Lost Belt anime announcements. There have still not been any. And, I would assume that we will probably not get any this year if they didn't trot that out during their double secret hour. Unless they really want to tie it into an FGO stream, but even then, that probably wouldn't be until, the Lost Belt 7 stream, I would assume. That'd be the really, really big one. Or New Year's. So, who knows? Maybe we could get announcements at New Year's for more stuff. But, like I said, we're betting we'll get some angles on that other one. But, yeah. Ears to the ground, keep your eyes out. Make sure to rattle your sabers about translating books.
Books.
Localize books. He has a suspicious book. Alright. But, with that, we have crossed the 2-hour mark raw, which is good, because we got a Fanservant Friday coming up, but let's take a short intermission.
Alrighty.
We'll come back to that. Unpause the game.
Unpause.
By the way, speaking of the fall and stuff, chat, I would like to say, if you want to get an idea of the actual changing of the seasons, I have just done something I haven't done many, many months. To get rid of the heat, I have opened my window, because it's cooler out there. 65 degrees. But, it's time for Fanservant Friday. Our winner this month, and we do this poll every month for 5 and up patrons. I'll have to scrabble together some spooky servants. See who hasn't won any polls in a little bit there. Or hasn't won a poll previously, at least. And get back to that one. But we do this every month. Our patrons at the 5 and up level, our silver tier or higher, can vote on who is the subject of the Fanservant Friday poll. And this month's winner was Egle, Queen of Serpents. At least I think that's how that is. There's a single one over there. Maybe it's a falling E. I don't know. So, for the short version, if you want to know the actual outlying myth here, because we're getting into it, this is a primarily Lithuanian story. But there are some connections to some greater Indo-European mythology, and there are variations of similar stories or translations of it around the Baltics. So, get some of your Eastern Europe in. And I think this one is pretty interesting because it is a very classical fairy tale type story, but does have a couple of iterations on some of your classic tropes. So, I apologize. This is the short version. You can go look up the original somewhere. I believe the first published version was M. Jesuits, 1837. But anyway, the short version, there is a young lady named Egle who went out bathing, discovers a snake in her shirt, not in her boots. But the snake will not leave unless she agrees to marry him. Yes, the snake speaks English. Egle assumes the snake is just joshing her, says yes, and gets her shirt back. After 3 days, oodles of snakes appear at her parents' house and say that Egle is their master's bride and future queen. The family does the usual attempt to bamboozle them. They give them a goose, a sheep, and a cow. But every time they go back, a bird warns them that they're being fooled. Apparently the snakes are not that smart.
Poor snakes.
So eventually they get fed up with this and they're just like, all right, we shall curse you horribly with a dry year, a deluge, and a famine. And then so finally they give up Egle and she goes to the bottom of the lagoon to meet their king, the Prince of Snakes. I'm not quite sure how to pronounce this one. There is a swooping mark over the Z here, but we'll assume Zilvinas, Prince of the Grass Snakes. Hey, he turns out to be a handsome man. Thumbs up. So, she is taken to their kingdom beneath the sea. This is her new home for all eternity. It's very nice there. Her husband is great. They have 4 sons and 1 daughter. Everything's, perfectly fine. They're going about their business. But eventually, after some time has passed, her oldest son asks her about her parents, because obviously, she's living with the snake family underneath the water. But anyway, their eldest son asks about her home. She's like, oh shit, my parents, I haven't seen them in, forever. And decides to visit her home. Zilvanas, for some reason, denies her permission to leave their palace unless she fulfills 3 impossible tasks. Pretty typical fairy tale stuff. She gets advice from a sorceress or a witch to how to complete these tasks, and reluctantly, Zilvanas lets her and her children leave. He teaches them all how to call him from the depths of the sea, but not to tell anybody this. Don't tell anyone our secret chant. However, after returning, it turns out that Egle's family sucks. And they decide to get their family member back by not letting her return to the sea and killing Zilvinas. Because, I don't know. Why would you, a random, Lithuanian peasant family living in the woods, care about killing a foreign king? So, first they threaten and beat his sons. By the way, this is Egle's brothers who are doing this, so they're uncles. But they don't give up. They stay true to the end. In return, it's the youngest child, their daughter, who finally tells them the snake summoning chant, which has an important line about, if you're alive, may the sea foam milk. If you're dead, the sea foam blood. So, all 12 of Egle's brothers, again, I don't know why you needed her back. You got a huge family. They go out to the sea, they call Zilvinas back, they kill him with scythes, they don't tell anybody about this, but after 9 days, Egle goes back to the seashore, says the chant, it foams blood, she figures out what's happened, and she does a spell. It transforms her daughter into a quaking aspen tree, and herself and her sons into stronger trees, because all of the sons' names were named after, tree types, oak, ash, birch. And her name itself is a feminine name in Lithuanian, but also means spruce or fir tree. So this is all, joke's on you, this was a legend about how we got trees the whole time. And yeah, that's basically it. So I read this a couple of times in the past, and I think it's a really interesting one about, it's got a lot of, interesting tropes. Because obviously you have the, animal marriage trope, but it's reversed. A male snake hits up a human chick, and is like, yo, marry me. And then he turns into a beautiful prince. And the family tries to stall, but it's obviously a very bad thing.
Yeah, no, I'm getting to this. It's I just feel like this family was just super jealous that their daughter landed a fucking king snake.
Yeah.
And they have to go be peasants.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, okay, sure, maybe Zilvinas could have shared a little with the in-laws, his whole, we shall live under the sea for all eternity. Sure. If they had maybe arranged some timeshare regularly, this wouldn't have happened. Like, this was at least when the oldest son was old enough to, like, ask his mother, Mommy, what are your parents like? So, maybe we could have solved this problem, but yeah, it's just...
I don't know, if she got to their oldest son and really didn't care too much about her family, they probably weren't that fucking much.
No.
Just
probably
saying.
Not. And like I said, I don't know why her family needed her back. In most versions of the story, one, she's bathing with her, with 2 sisters, and she has 12 brothers. So, like, I don't really get it, but it's a tragedy. Like I said, there are some classic fairy tale tasks in the middle, but it's the, like, reverse. It's like, hey, I want to go home, and I want to visit my house, so I got to do some impossible shit, which we'll talk a little bit about because that informs some skills. But yeah, so this is an interesting little thing we've got going on. So, Egle is a Lancer, neutral good, seems like an alright lady. She's just trying to do her business.
Living her best life under the sea.
I mean, I would say this could be a theogonic type myth. Like, this could be trying to explain the origins of certain things. Like I said, the trees. There are a lot of numerologies given in this. There's a lot of divisible by 3s. 12 sons, 3 daughters in their family, 3 days, 3 tricks, 3 weeks of feasting happened under the sea, 9 years of being married, 3 tasks, etc., 9 days of visits. So, like, there's a lot of number stuff here.
Numbers.
And like I said, there are a lot of different variations throughout the Baltic area as well, so. Oh, there are a few animal marriage stories that have happy endings. A lot of them are complicated because usually the human person fucks it up somehow.
That's usually what it is.
Please do not read the original Undine. It's very satch. But, like, and not accounting also, by the way, for all those Selkie tales where the human guy is just an asshole, and, like, the Selkie is like, yo, dude, I got a seal husband and family to go back to, and he's like, well, I got your skin, so sucks for you.
You're mine now, bitch.
Uh-huh. That's okay. Usually that guy gets what's coming to him, because they fuck it up. But anyway, but there are, I think, some more that are, like, okay. This one, at least, is, like, while it does kind of turn out that, like, there was a reason why Sylvanus didn't want her to go back, like, Egle didn't really do anything wrong other than go home, and, like, her brothers were assholes. There are certainly some, like, tones. Like, I think somebody can interpret it that it's their youngest child and only daughter who gives up the ghost, and as she gives up the secret, all the boys were, like, toughed it out. And that's why she becomes a quaking aspen tree. But I guess if you're trying to match a myth for why we have different trees, somebody has to be the weird skinny tree, right?
Well, also, if you're the smallest, and if you're the smallest, then not, like, nothing to say about gender normatives now. But I'm pretty sure back in those days, girls weren't supposed to be the big tough sort.
Yeah,
I don't think.
And certainly, like I said, I believe the daughter Aspen is the youngest, so it makes sense that would be the one.
If it's a small child, no.
Not that the boys could have been much older, because, like I said, I'm pretty sure their eldest son was only, like, 9 when he asked this question. So, tough-ass 9-year-old. Anyway, Egle, neutral good Lancer. So, we've got some Lancer stats. High on the speed, strength C, endurance D. She was just kind of a normal human. Agility B+, mana or NPC. Luck, D-. You are a Lancer. You must have bad luck. Also, it fits the legend. One of the reasons why I went with Lancer. The other reason you'll see later. NPC. Class skills, magic resistance B. We are coming from kind of a time of myths. There's a lot of supernatural, shape-changing and magical efforts here, so decided to go with a little bit of a higher rank. Writing C, just because that kind of fits with a lot of design for Lancers these days, is the higher writing. And also there is, obviously some association with, like, the sea and magical creatures and stuff, so we can go for a little bit of a higher rank. I am also picturing, though, that Egle would be a classical quick-based Lancer. So for skill list, we got a couple here. First of all, Morph A, just high-level shapeshift power. The ability to change your physical appearance, because somehow in the story, Egle had the ability to turn herself and her children into trees. And the actual ability of shapeshifting of Morph is to give yourself a pretty high defense boost. So I think it works. You could probably come up with a very specific version of this if you wanted to, like, do different buffs, but just the regular shapeshifting Morph skill in lore probably works fine. You could make it shapeshift tree, I guess, if you wanted. But yeah, second skill, Queen of the Serpents, Sea. She was actually the Queen of the Serpents, or grass snakes. She lived in their country under the sea, married their ruler. And apparently Sylvanus had the power to, like, command waves of snakes to do his bidding, So, a decent amount of effect here. I imagine this would be a charisma variant. So attack up and then some other effect. Maybe, for instance, that damage up against poisoned targets. Maybe an AoE poison on enemies instead. Maybe both. Who knows? I don't know what's balanced in FGO
Back
anymore.
up on snakes. We have a lot of snake servants. Or
yeah,
snake
you could
servants.
literally do you could do a new snake trait and it would be good. Like, that's Medusa and variants. That's,
Shuten and variants.
Yes, Shuten, Ibuki, Chiome, because Chiome is connected to Orochi. There's probably more we could get in there that we're not thinking of even.
Probably Kiyohime.
Yeah, Kiyohime, while she does turn into a dragon, she has a lot of snake symbolism, especially in the Learning with manga they draw with the snake tail. You get some funny stuff there. And honestly, I could totally also, I didn't necessarily write this in, but I could totally see Fate doing, like, the thing where, like, snakes are dragonkin kind of a thing, because obviously these are magical snakes that live under the water. So you could say that with the power of mystery, these were actually, like, dragonic snakes and make it a Dragon Witch style, like, dragon buff as well.
Yeah, I can see it.
If you did not want to
it's
add
like, they're not
traits.
snakes, they're serpents.
Yeah. But in general, this is a charisma type ability to lead a country. It's just gives her also the ability to, like, command snake-like familiars and stuff in lore. And then final skill is the 3 tasks of Sylvanus. This is ranked A. So this is basically a part of that legend I talked about. So before she could go back to her family, Sylvanus gave her 3 tasks. So one was to spin a never-ending tuft of silk to what is it? Wear down a pair of iron shoes and bake a pie with no utensils. Thanks to the aid of a sorceress, she accomplishes all of these tasks. Like, the sorceress gives her things she can use to, like, help her out there, or teaches her, one weird trick, etc.
Kings hate this one trick.
I mean, yeah, basically.
I'm sorry, I'm just thinking of it.
But so, this in lore allows her to create, like, small impossibilities, boost her own recovery, boost allies' recovery, become lighter or heavier because of the iron shoes. This would also probably be in the art somewhere. I imagine this would probably be, like, a very basic targetable skill that's, like, target ally gets, like, remove debuff, slight heal, star weight up or something. A little cutesy support skill. I personally am not imagining in FGO that Egle would be a very high rarity lancer, probably like a bronze or silver. It is a legend with a lot of iteration and does have some history to it, but it's also not, like, super huge. I think I originally found it because I was trying to scope out myths about, like, shapeshifting and animal marriages type stuff, and Wikipedia, of course, has a list for these. And I was like, Egle, Queen of Serpents, that sounds cool. So, just another little support skill. And then NP is, I called it because I had to make up my own name, Scythe of 12, and then the subtitle is If Dead, May the Sea Foam Blood. So basically, this is the tragic conclusion, crystallizes a noble phantasm. You go through the whole thing, you come home, your 12 brothers murder your husband with scythes in the ocean. Sucks. But basically, and this is the reason why she's a lancer, she would have a scythe, I'm imagining it being double-bladed like a snake fangs, symbolism. Mm-hmm. But when its special ability is activated, it would, each blow would land like 12. And so, like, every blow is, like, 12 times as strong than a normal blow. So, explains how we get extra attack in. Obviously, if you really wanted to go ham, FGO could make it like a 12 hit, but God knows that would probably fuck some shit up. Excessive hit counts. But yeah, so twin-bladed like a snake. Also, because there's this legend of the sea foaming with blood, I would say it also probably creates, kind of wounds that continue to bleed. They don't heal properly, kind of, I don't remember if that was Gaebu or Gaedeard. Whichever one of them spears does the thing, but, causes lasting wounds. Probably causes a poison effect on hit, to put it in FGO terms. But other than that, it's, pretty simple. It makes nasty wounds. It hits heavier. It's very sag. But probably just a direct single target effect. And yeah, that's all I got. Nice. Remember to broaden your horizons and your myths, everybody. There's a lot out there. There's a lot of stuff you can learn from. Okie dokie. How long have we gone? 2:20? Alright, seems okay. But that is about everything we've got for the show, the Let's Talk FGOs today. Obviously, like I said, you can check out our live show podcast about stuff, anime, video games, books, whatever. What's Up with Omega and Lucky, live every Saturday. So keep that one in mind. And, of course, it is the end of a month, so I will be sure to razzle-dazzle everybody. Obviously, if you're already a patron, you'll have gotten access to this. So if you're not a patron by the time this goes live to public, it'll be a new month. Perfect time to support us on Patreon. Get access to our new Fanservant Friday poll. Get access to another Fail Portrayal poll. Sorry we skipped this week, but like I said, Tuesday night there was a hurricane coming. We had to figure out if that was going to be a thing or not. So we'll probably cover our next batch along with, other Yu-Gi-Oh! Ramblings next week. So pay attention for Tuesday again. But there is a poll for that as well, monthly, that we'll get into. You can get access to videos like Wanteds we mentioned earlier. You can get those early. You can get access to audio for our podcasts, downloadable as well, and our APs if you're into that as well, which I hope you are. Our APs are great. Go listen to them. Where was that? What else? Right. And at higher levels, you can listen to the show. Let's Not Have to get recorded live every week. Like we occasionally do a little bonus episode as live, but our high level patrons get that treatment every week on our Discord. And you can also get on-air shoutouts, and it really does support us and help us out and stuff. It's neato, burrito. And it also pays for burritos. It's funny how that works. But yeah, that's my usual end-of-the-month big Patreon plug. It's a really great way to support us. Patreon really doesn't take a huge slice of that cash, and there's a lot of ways you can get in there. So if you want to throw us a bone or two and, get some stuff out of it, it's cool.
Bone.
But with that, I think opening my window is making my throat a little dry. The air is crisp and cool tonight. Luckily, I do believe that is everything we have for the show. I don't think there's any other outro or business or other stuff to talk about.
Yeah, I don't think so.
So make sure to catch us on What's Up live later today if you're watching this public on YouTube. Check out our Monday streams. We'll be going back to Great Ace Attorney this Monday. But if you want to check out those Mega Man X things we did, there'll be 3 of those will be our last live streams. And like I said, now that we've cleared 2 games, I should throw those up into a playlist as well and keep track. So, make that for easy viewing. Despite the fact that YouTube killed auto-playlisting, they have sent me emails and alerts about how playlists are a great way for your viewers to catch up on content, so you keep doing them. I personally make great use of playlists, so I would never stop, but apparently YouTube thinks it's cool too, so we'll make some more playlists. But other than that, I think anything else relevant will come up in What's Up, so let's do the usual outro. If you're watching this video on YouTube, be sure to give it a like. It helps. It's important. Please. Especially because the last one, like I said, didn't do super great. Consider throwing us a like. Give us more juice so we can keep doing this. Like juice. Lift weights. I'm pretty sure you can also dislike the video. We don't get a lot of those either, but I think YouTube is of the opinion that any engagement is better than no engagement, so, whatever. If you didn't like this episode, go for that too. I don't care. It's fine. You can also leave a comment in the comment section down below. You can leave a comment section in the comment section. That's very grammatically correct me. Anyway, you can leave a comment. Any of the things we've told you to comment on, feel free to jump in. Place your bets on New Year's, collabs, whatever. How you feel about us doing the Christmas event rerun quite so early, unique banners, We do occasionally try to get your thoughts. I do try to talk about, how our community feels about stuff in, our Discord. By the way, join our Discord. Link in the video description on our channel page. But, I also take YouTube comments into account, so, let us get a read on how you feel about things. Heck, are you concerned about the slight price hike for some of the packages in JP? Even though that doesn't affect big boy packages. Did you buy the 99-cent pack of St. QUARTZ? Let us know. I'm curious. And, of course, if you're new here and haven't already, please subscribe to our channels. You can get all of these videos, keep getting this podcast, keep getting our live streams, get other videos, etc., etc. Even if you're already subscribed, consider ringing that bell for notifications so you always know when we post a new video or when we're streaming. Don't miss a thing. Don't want to close your eyes. Also, consider supporting our channel via YouTube memberships. Memberships are a great way to get access to membership badges and emotes. Emotes and membership badges show up in both comments, live chat for our live streams, and in our mailbag on our community page, so, it's a great way to spice up your posts. And also throw a little bit of buccarinos our way. I don't know when he's timing on that exactly, but I do know Lucky is looking into getting a new tablet in the not-too-distant future so we can get extra emotes out there.
Yeah.
Because as you support us, we get more emote slots. YouTube rewards us that way. Eventually, we can be like your favorite Twitch streamers who may be streaming on YouTube now because Twitch has decided to be dub. But yeah, you can join our channel memberships on YouTube for those things. And of course, this is where I normally insert our normal Patreon plug as well. Consider Shenanigans as a Patreon. If you want deets on that, roll back to the part before I started doing the outro. And that is the outro. This has been Let's Talk FGO. We'll see you guys next week, our first show of October. Get your pumpkin spice and your bones and all your other stuff out there. Get in that waiting line for the cheap Halloween candy. Technically, that's not until, like, November, but you know what I mean. Order your candy corn now. I'm not going to order anything because everything is, like, delayed until, like, next week anyway. Thanks, Hurricanes. But we'll be back for that, and we'll have more news. We will see what the Olympus campaign for Road to 7 is like, and possibly some other bullshit. All right. Good night and good luck, everybody.
Have a good evening. See you next time.